Chapter 781. After bidding farewell to Hua Wenjun and his sister, Chen Zong went back to walking alone. Should I hunt demons to earn merits? Chen Zong thought to himself as he strolled along the wide street. He had to have a goal. He couldn't just walk around aimlessly. That would be a waste of time. Let's go to the Demon Hunter Hall first. Chen Zong thought of the things he got in the 1,000 Refinements subworld. He should make good use of the 1,000 refined gold and the top mid-grade elixir, the 9 blood rainbow. If he could forge the 1,000 refined gold into a sword, he would be able to increase his combat strength. If he could refine the 9 blood rainbow into an elixir, he would be able to improve his body refining skills and improve his cultivation base. In addition, he also needed to cultivate the 4th level of the art of spiritual refinement, which would further refine his spiritual sense and solidify it. He needed to perfect the mind sword Dao and so on. Chen Zong realized that there were still many things he needed to work on. One step at a time. Chen Zong was speechless. There were too many things he could cultivate. Each of them required time and energy. He felt like he couldn't do 2 things at once. Suddenly, Chen Zong thought of the Tower of Ascension. The heaven-ascending pagoda indeed existed in his sea of consciousness. Unfortunately, the refining speed was too slow. Up until now, he had only refined 1/10 of it. Chen Zong did not know how long it would take to completely refine the heaven-ascending pagoda. Fortunately, the Tower of Ascension required a cultivation base of the Earth Spirit realm to drive it. As he pondered, Chen Zong headed towards the Demon Hunter Hall. Merits were very common in the demon-suppressing fortress. They were even more valuable than spiritual sources. Therefore, the more merits he had, the better. He went straight to the mission area. Other than directly killing demons, there were also ways to earn merits by completing missions. The combination of the two would maximize the benefit. There were many demon hunters in the mission area. On each wall was a mission panel. There were a total of 3 mission panels, which corresponded to different mission levels: low level, mid-level, and high level. Low-level missions were mainly for 1-star to 3-star demon hunters, mid-level missions were for 4-star to 5-star demon hunters, and high-level missions were for 6-star and 7-star demon hunters. Of course, high-ranking demon hunters could also accept low-level missions, but very few demon hunters would do so as the rewards were too low. As for the titled demon hunters that were 7-star and above, even if they had missions, they wouldn't announce them. The contents of the missions were scrolling slowly on the 3 mission panels. There were many demon hunters standing in front of each panel. Each of them was emitting a shockingly chaotic aura wave and had a strong murderous aura. Some of the demon hunters carried traces of chaotic demonic aura in addition to the demonic aura. They must have just returned from outside not long ago, as the chaotic demonic aura on their bodies had yet to dissipate. After a quick glance, Chen Zong's eyes fell on the lower mission panel. With his current demon hunter level, he could only accept the missions on this panel. 10 Devil Mist Flowers, 10 contribution points. Time limit, 7 days. Harvesting 5 stalks of black bone grass, 10 merit points. Time limit, 10 days. Many of the missions were related to the harvesting of herbs. The environment of the Earth Demon Abyss was different from many other places. The herbs that grew there absorbed the chaotic demonic aura and contained a certain amount of chaotic demonic aura. To normal cultivators it was like poison. However, there was no lack of outstanding alchemists who could refine different herbs according to the ratio, turning the unfavorable situation into an advantageous one. The harvesting missions on the lower mission panel were basically for low-level demonic herbs. The contribution points awarded weren't many, and the time limit wasn't long either. Other than harvesting missions, there were also hunting missions. For example, killing a certain type of demonic creature, obtaining a certain part of the demonic creature's body, and so on. The lower missions were basically harvesting missions and hunting missions. Some missions had a limit on the number of missions, but some were long-term missions that didn't have a limit on the number of missions. Anyone who met the requirements could accept them. With my abilities, it's easy to advance to 2-star, Chen Zong said to himself. Killing a low-level demonic creature would give at least 10 merit points, and the upper limit was 100 points. Advancing to 2-star required 1,000 merit points, which wasn't difficult at all. It only took a little time. Chen Zong simply swept through the missions on the lower mission panel. As long as he felt that the harvesting and hunting missions were suitable, he would accept them all. After all, even if he couldn't complete the mission, there wouldn't be any losses. In an instant, there were more than a dozen missions in Chen Zong's demon hunting seal that had yet to be completed. Following that, Chen Zong went to the trading area. What was the purpose of becoming a demon hunter? It was to cultivate, to sharpen oneself, and also to obtain merit points. He could buy all kinds of useful items in the trading area to make himself stronger. There were more people in the trading area than the mission area. The trading area was divided into 2 parts. One part was the Demon Hunter Hall's trading platform, where the items owned by the Demon Hunter Hall were sold, regardless of whether it was martial arts or treasures. The other part was the free trading platform, where demon hunters could consign the items they wanted to sell, and after the appraisal by the Demon Hunter Hall's staff, the price would be fixed and the corresponding fee would be collected. Demon hunters who wanted to buy could come here to search. In addition, there were 2 huge panels, each of which was divided into 100 boxes. Inside each box was a clear picture of a treasure, as well as a concise introduction. The panels would be flipped every 30 breaths of time, changing to other treasures, making it more convenient for demon hunters. It was worth mentioning that the merit points obtained through trading couldn't be counted into the demon hunter star rank, to prevent some people from using this method to cheat and increase their star rank. While Chen Zong was browsing in the trading area, the atmosphere in the 10,000 Heavy Demon Hunt Squad was cold and desolate. The 10,000 Heavy Demon Hunt Squad had a captain and 2 vice-captains. Under the vice-captains, there were 7 large teams, and each large team was divided into small teams, in good order. At this very moment, one of the vice-captains, Duan Tiancho, was sitting on the second seat, spinning a blood-red ball with sharp spikes in his left hand. The sound of friction was very ear-piercing, making people's scalps numb. This kind of ball was made from the horn of a powerful demon. Below him stood 3 people, 3 of the 7 captains. Each of them had a demon hunt seal with 4 blood stars on it, and each of them was surrounded by an incomparably shocking wave of killing intent. Monitor Chen Zong's every move. As soon as he leaves the demon-suppressing fort, you will immediately take action. Cripple him and bring him back alive. I want to personally deal with him. Duan Tiancho's voice was low, and his eyes were as tyrannical as a demonic blade. As he swept past them, the 3 captains at the Earth Spirit Realm all tensed up. 4th Master Han was not only a member of the 10,000 Heavy Demon Hunt Squad, but also his own brother-in-law. Although he didn't live up to expectations and wasn't very strong, only able to fight against someone at the early stage of the 6th layer of the mortal realm with his cultivation at the peak of the 5th layer of the mortal realm, no matter what, he was killed, and this grudge had to be avenged. The reason why the 3 captains at the Earth Spirit Realm had to personally lead the squad was to prevent any accidents. Everyone knew that a genius like Chen Zong would definitely have some trump cards. If not for his status, Duan Tiancho might have personally acted. Don't worry, Vice-Captain. We will cripple him and bring him back, and let you do whatever you want with him. The 3 captains expressed their views one after another. To tell the truth, dispatching 3 captains at the Earth Spirit Realm to deal with a rookie demon hunter at the extreme mortal realm was really a waste of their talent. If word got out, they would probably be laughed at. But Duan Tiancho was a man of his word, and his orders had to be obeyed. Unless the captain spoke, the other vice-captain's objections would be useless. Ta-ta-ta. Muffled and powerful footsteps could be heard from outside the hall, and with a certain rhythm, the three captains' expressions changed. That was because their hearts seemed to be beating in sync with the footsteps, out of their control. Duan Tiancho's face flashed with a trace of graveness, and his demonic blade-like eyes narrowed slightly, looking at the entrance of the hall. This sound was the sound of combat shoes stepping on the ground. According to Duan Tiancho's knowledge, no one in the entire demon hunt squad wore combat shoes. In fact, among all the demon hunters, the number of people who wore combat shoes was very few. The only people who were truly equipped with combat shoes were demon suppression soldiers. Could it be that the one who came was a demon suppression soldier? Just as this thought flashed in his mind, a figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes along with the muffled and powerful footsteps. In an instant, Duan Tiancho's pupils contracted, and the pupils of the three captains also contracted, and their bodies couldn't help but tremble slightly. Ha 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 ha, what wind has blown, sir, here? Your presence brings light to my humble dwelling. Duan Tiancho's face twitched slightly, but he still stood up and squeezed out a smile, taking large strides to welcome him while speaking politely. Duan Tiancho, there are some people who you can't deal with as you please. The newcomer had an indifferent expression, but his eyes contained a trace of rumination. What does sir mean? Duan Tiancho wrinkled his brows slightly and asked back. You can deal with this person, Chunzong, but you can't send anyone above the extreme mortal stage. This demon suppression soldier didn't have the slightest intention of beating around the bush, and directly spoke, causing Duan Tiancho's expression to change greatly. Sir, this person has only just become a demon hunter. Don't tell me that the demon suppression army wants to protect him? Duan Tiancho's expression changed greatly. This doesn't conform to the rules. I'm only passing on the words of the 9th Battle General of the 4th Army's Battle Dragon Division to you. As for whether you want to listen or not, that's up to you. This demon suppression soldier didn't have the slightest intention of arguing with Duan Tiancho, and immediately turned around to leave with large strides. Only the sound of his heavy and hard footsteps could be heard, as if they were stepping on everyone's hearts, incomparably oppressive. Damn it! Duan Tiancho's brows furrowed tightly, and his eyes flickered with a frenzied killing intent. Vice Captain. A large captain spoke up carefully. How do you think we should handle this? The demon suppression army had actually intervened, and a battle general at that. This was something that had to be considered carefully and carefully considered. The demon suppression army had a strict hierarchy. The lowest level was a soldier, and was divided into 6 ranks. For example, the demon suppression soldier that had just arrived was a 4th rank soldier, and had a cultivation level of the earth spirit realm. Battle generals were above soldiers, and their status was even higher. Correspondingly, their cultivation level was higher, and their strength was greater. The 10,000 heavy demon hunt squad couldn't afford to offend even the weakest battle general, or it would be a disaster for them. Taking a deep breath, Duan Tiancho's expression returned to normal, but the killing intent in his heart grew even more violent, and his eyes grew even colder. Chapter 782. You actually want the 3 of us to deal with a rookie? Isn't that too much of a waste of talent? A middle-aged man with a short stature of less than 1.6 meters, but was very strong like a rolling steel rock, grumbled. You short tiger, don't complain. This is the order of Vice Captain Duan. You should know Vice Captain Duan's temperament, so we have to do it well. The one who spoke was tall and thin, with a smile on his face. Speak less, do more. The third expressionless man said coldly. The 3 of them had different appearances, but their bodies all emitted shocking auras. On the demon hunt seal on their chests, there were 3 blood stars, indicating that they were 3-star demon hunters. The star level of a demon hunter was actually related to their cultivation level. 1 star to 3 stars were basically the extreme mortal realm, and 4 stars were usually the earth spirit realm. This was because the promotion between 3 stars and 4 stars was not as easy as before. Apart from having enough contribution points, one also needed to complete corresponding missions. These missions were impossible for the majority of extreme mortal realm experts. Because the difficulty of the missions between 3 stars and 4 stars was too high, many demon hunters within the demon-suppressing fortress were stuck at 3 stars. Although they were all 3 stars, there were differences in strength. Currently, these 3 were considered to be at the peak of the 3-star demon hunters, so many people recognized them. However, it was very normal for demon hunters to join hands to hunt demons, so no one paid any special attention to them. However, there were people watching them in the dark. General, the Demon Hunt Squad Duan Tiancho, has sent out Short Tiger, Long Tiger, and Quang Tiger. A figure walked out from the shadows, cupping his fists and reporting. The 3 tigers of Wanzhong are all at the peak of the 9th rank of the extreme mortal realm. The one called General had a tall stature, looking incomparably bold and powerful. He stood at the window with his hands behind his back. Outside was a corner of the demon-suppressing fortress. His voice was deep and vigorous, and when he opened his mouth, there was a feeling of muffled thunder. Yes. That demon-suppressing soldier's tone was firm. You will go personally. If my junior brother is unable to resist the 3 tigers of Wanzhong, you will act. The tall and robust figure said, Remember, don't act unless you really have no way to resist. Yes. With that, the demon suppression sergeant took a few steps back and disappeared into the shadows. Junior brother, since you chose to come here, you should be prepared to face all dangers. Grow well and don't disappoint me. If you display enough strength and gain my approval, I will use all my connections to let you join the demon suppression army. 10 black fog flowers and 5 black bone grasses have been harvested. 20 merit points have been earned. Chen Zong put the 5th black bone grass into his mustard seed bag and said with a smile. Now, in his demon hunting seal, the 0 merit points had increased to more than 100 points, all of which were obtained from killing underground demons. As for the merit points from completing missions, they could only be obtained when he returned to the demon hunting hall and turned in the missions. Let's try to get more than 1,000 merit points on this trip, Chen Zong said to himself. Kill, kill, kill. Chop, chop, chop. The demons on the surface of the earth demon abyss all came from the first layer. Most of them were ordinary demons, with a few low-grade demons. Even if they were low-grade demons, they were not strong. If Chen Zong was willing to go all out, he could easily kill them in one move. After killing them, he would stimulate the aura of the demon hunting seal to come into contact with the demons and obtain the corresponding merit point. The merit points in the demon hunting seal kept increasing, surpassing 200, then 300. It was the easiest to increase between 1 star and 2 stars. With a flash of his sword, a low-grade demon was killed, and its eyeballs were dug out by Chen Zong. This was a requirement for a mission. Clap, clap, clap. A burst of applause suddenly sounded, startling Chen Zong. He immediately turned around and saw a figure. The moment he saw the figure, Chen Zong's heart skipped a beat, and his hair stood on end. It was a fierce tiger with a long body, and it was walking on the ground. As its body swayed slightly, it emitted a terrifying aura, causing Chen Zong's muscles to tense up. With another flash, the fierce tiger disappeared, and was replaced by a tall and thin figure. His hands were clapping, making waves of applause. The smile on his face let Chen Zong know that this person was not a friend but an enemy. Taking a deep breath, Chen Zong's heart calmed down, and his tense muscles relaxed a little. However, this kind of relaxation was not because he was relaxed, but because he wanted to attack better. Young but powerful. You must have an extraordinary background. The tall and thin man was Chang Hu, one of the 3 tigers of Wanzhong. He squinted his eyes and smiled. His tone was light, as if he was chatting, but it made Chen Zong's muscles tense up again. Danger, a strong sense of danger spread from the bottom of his heart. Chernzong also found that he could not see through this person's cultivation, but he was sure that he was in the extreme mortal realm. "You're from the Wanchong Demon Hunt Squad?" Chernzong asked while thinking quickly. "Are you thinking of how to get away?" Chong, who did not answer Chernzong's question, but asked back. The smile on his face became more and more obvious, full of playfulness. "In front of us, unless you're in the earth spirit realm, you can't escape, Chernzong was slightly startled. He felt two other extremely terrifying auras coming from the other side. Sweeping his eyes over them, he felt his blood run cold again. It was as if he saw a violent tiger and an incomparably strong tiger striding towards him. Their frightening auras were locked on him from afar. The sense of danger these two gave him was no less than the one in front of him. His heart couldn't help but sink. "Chong-hu, why are you talking so much with this rookie? Just cut off his head and bring it back. Don't waste time," the short and stout tiger said in a stern voice. An extremely terrifying killing intent spread out as if it was real. It carried waves of chilly wind as it bombarded Chernzong. When it swept past Chernzong only felt a strong numbness spread all over his body. Moreover, a cold chill spread all over his body, as if it wanted to freeze his blood, stiffen his muscles and thoughts. Soon after, another extremely violent killing intent attacked Chernzong's body, causing the numbness and coldness to intensify. Just this killing intent was enough to make an ordinary extreme mortal realm powerhouse lose all ability to resist. It could be seen how strong the killing intent was. Pure yang blood and qi instantly spread out, dispersing the intense numbness and coldness. The tyrannical spiritual energy was like a surging river. His spiritual sense swept out, and the three tyrannical forces merged in an instant, transforming into an illusory sword energy. Boom, boom, boom. After the terrifying illusory sword energy traveled all over his body, it instantly spread out, transforming into invisible but extremely sharp sword energy. It cut open the hard ground around them and quickly spread to the feet of the three men. The three tigers of Wanzhong were all shocked. The strength of this aura had reached the 9th tier of the extreme mortal realm. Moreover, it was not an ordinary 9th tier of the extreme mortal realm. In other words, when Chernzong fought with 4th Master Han in the blood-hatred arena, he didn't use his full strength. Chernzong's qi cultivation was at the mid-4th tier of the extreme mortal realm. His body cultivation was equivalent to the 6th tier of the extreme mortal realm. His spiritual sense was even stronger than an ordinary 9th tier of the extreme mortal realm. The illusory sword energy formed by the combination of the three forces was even stronger, allowing Chernzong's strength to reach the mid-9th tier of the extreme mortal realm with an upper-level spiritual art. "You two hold the fort for me, I'll kill him." Kwang, whose voice was filled with indifference and madness. His eyes shone with a bloodthirsty light. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly pounced forward. Roar. The terrifying roar of a tiger was extremely violent. A shocking murderous intent mixed with a monstrous evil spirit, coupled with Kwang, whose own strength, condensed into a figure that pounced forward like a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain. Chernzong's hair stood on end. He felt as if he had met a ferocious tiger in the forest when he was still very weak. That terrifying aura had made him unable to move and terrified. Alarm bells were ringing madly in his heart. Chernzong knew that even if his current strength was much stronger than when he was in the Red Valley, it still wasn't enough to deal with such a strong opponent. The three tigers of Wanzhong practiced an upper-level spiritual art, and their cultivations had reached the peak 9th tier of the extreme mortal realm. In addition, they had been in the demon suppression fortress for many years and were experienced demon hunters. Their strength was much stronger than those who practiced an upper-level 9th tier of the extreme mortal realm. Even an ordinary extreme 9th tier of the extreme mortal realm was no match for them. As soon as Kwang, who made his move, Chernzong knew that he was in great danger this time. It was even more dangerous than when he faced the elder of the extreme mortal realm from the Blackwater sect in the Thousand Refinements world. This was because the elder of the extreme mortal realm from the Blackwater sect was no match for Kwang Hu. There was a fundamental difference between the two. However, even if he knew that he was no match for Kwang Hu, Chen Zong couldn't give up without a fight. Under the gaze of the other two strong opponents, he couldn't escape. Thus, he was in a desperate situation. The more desperate the situation was, the more his potential would be stimulated. He would fight to the death and fight to his last breath. Chen Zong immediately gave up on any thoughts of luck. His heart was cold, and his consciousness was highly focused. With the red jade sword in his hand, his aura became incomparably condensed. His aura was like a sharp sword that soared into the sky, and was even sharper than before. This scene caused Long Tiger and Short Tiger's pupils to shrink. They absolutely didn't expect that in front of the three of them, Chen Zong would not only not be defeated, but also have a high fighting spirit. His aura became even more condensed. This kind of person's future achievements were limitless. Currently, the 10,000th Demon Hunt Squad had an unresolvable enmity with this person. If they couldn't kill him, in the future, when this person matured, he would inevitably bring great trouble to the 10,000th Demon Hunt Squad, and could even lead to their annihilation. Because of this kind of talent, there was a great possibility for him to join the Demon Suppression Army in the future. Compared to the Demon Suppression Army, the 10,000th Demon Hunt Squad didn't count for much. Only if the 10,000th Demon Hunt Squad could they become a Monarch-grade Demon Hunt Squad, would they have the qualifications to talk to the Demon Suppression Army. However, to promote the 10,000th Demon Hunt Squad to the Monarch grade was just too difficult. According to the current situation, it would be impossible without at least 100 years of hard work. Kill. This person must die. The killing intent on Long Hu and Short, whose faces became even more obvious, and their baleful aura became even more fierce. Kwang Hu also knew this, and thus, his attack became even more concentrated. Turning into a peerless wild tiger, it carried an incomparably terrifying power, attacking Chen Zong. This move was enough to kill a powerhouse at the peak of the extreme mortal realm who cultivated a high-grade spiritual technique. Chapter 783. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. The ferocious tiger, accompanied by Devil Chi, pounced. Chen Zong was highly focused. All his fear and worry disappeared, replaced by determination, faith, sharpness, and the sword. With my sword in hand, my heart is fearless. The red light was blazing and filled the world. It turned into a majestic sword light and rushed out with an indomitable momentum. This sword was not light at all, nor was it agile. It did not change according to one's will. It was as if it had broken away from the mind-sword principle. However, Chen Zong felt that he had broken through the shackles. His realm was instantly sublimated. The spiritual power in his body surged uncontrollably and rushed to the next aperture point. However, Chen Zong did not feel any of this. He did not pay attention to it. He was wholeheartedly focused on this sword. This sword was highly condensed, incomparably powerful, overbearing, and sharp. Contained everything in the world. This sword was also the sublimation of the mind-sword principle. It was different from the heart questioning. There was something mysterious about this sword. Cut. In an instant, the majestic crimson sword light rushed forward with unparalleled momentum and fiercely slashed at the figure of the ferocious tiger. There was a loud explosion. The sword light was shattered. The figure of the ferocious tiger paused for a moment and then pounced again. With a boom, Chen Zong flew backward and spat out blood. That sword was powerful, but it was not enough to fight against the opponent. He was thrown dozens of meters away and fell to the ground. He rolled uncontrollably and quickly turned over. He knelt on one knee and supported himself with his sword. His black hair was messy and blood was dripping from his mouth. It was too powerful. Even though that strike was very powerful, it could only weaken a portion of its power. The remaining power directly bombarded his body. If it were not for the low-grade spiritual armor blocking a portion of the power, and if it were not for the 1,000 refinements Tao that he had obtained and cultivated to a certain level, his body would have been directly blown apart by this strike. Weak. His strength was still too weak after all. Chen Zong's heart was filled with the desire to pursue power. His aura became even more condensed and sharp. The red jade sword hummed incessantly as a terrifying formless sword chi spread out, slicing in all directions. It was as if everything around him would be torn to shreds. The 3 tigers of Wanzhong were even more shocked. Not only did this person not die after taking a direct hit from the berserk tiger, but he was also able to emit such a powerful aura. It seemed that he was even stronger than before. Even though the wild tiger's attack was only 80% of its power, it was enough to destroy a peak 9th-tier human realm practitioner who cultivated an upper-level spiritual art. Unable to kill Chen Zong, Kuang who was both surprised and annoyed. With a boom, a terrifying aura burst out from his body. It was incomparably violent. Vaguely, the roar of a ferocious tiger seemed to resound through the heavens and earth, causing the surrounding demonic aura to become even more chaotic as countless storms swept up. Mad Tiger. 10,000 strikes. He growled word by word in a low voice, and his momentum was as shocking as the roar of thunder. Vaguely, an invisible aura condensed above the Mad Tiger, and condensed into a black and red tiger that was more than 10 meters long. It emitted a monstrous rage and killing intent, and locked onto Chen Zong who was 100 meters away. The terrifying impact of the aura directly shattered Chen Zong's aura. Then, it seemed that Chen Zong's body was going to be smashed into pieces. In the next moment, Chen Zong's shattered aura was condensed again, but it was defeated again. The tiger above the Mad Tiger became more and more solid, and the impact of the attack also became stronger. It once again shattered the aura that Chen Zong had condensed, again and again. Bearing the terrifying aura of the Mad Tiger, Chen Zong, who was unwavering, slowly straightened his body. Trembling, he stood up little by little, as if he was holding up a part of the sky. Even if the sky fell down, it would not be able to crush my body. Blood kept flowing out from the corners of his mouth, and he could not stop it. His hair was disheveled, and he looked like a mad demon. However, Chen Zong's eyes were even brighter, emitting an incomparably terrifying light that could penetrate everything. His gaze made the 3 tigers of Wanzhong feel an inexplicable sense of fear. What a piercing gaze! In the shadows, a figure who had completely concealed his aura was silently shocked. He had been there from the beginning, but hadn't made a move. This was because the general's orders were as such. Unless Chen Zong was truly unable to fight back, he could only watch from the sidelines. At such a close distance, for someone of the Earth spirit realm like him, he could have saved Chen Zong in the blink of an eye if he'd made a move. When he'd first felt Chen Zong's aura, he'd felt that Chen Zong was definitely not a match for the Mad Tiger, and that he might have been killed in an instant. Therefore, he'd already made preparations to save him. What he hadn't thought was that Chen Zong would be able to withstand the Mad Tiger's tyrannical blow. Although he seemed to be heavily injured, he'd actually withstood it. In addition, his aura continued to condense, becoming stronger and sharper, as if a long sword had been sharpened. This was a kind of metamorphosis, a metamorphosis that came from the depths of one's soul. A successful metamorphosis would be of great benefit to one's future training. His aura condensed again and again, shattering and condensing again and again. It was even more condensed than the last time. Chen Zong was still conscious, but he couldn't deploy the secret method of sword aura. First, this was the Earth Demon Abyss. The chaotic demonic chi was denser than the spirit chi of the heavens and earth. The prerequisite for deploying the secret method of sword aura was sufficient spirit chi of the heavens and earth. Without sufficient spirit chi of the heavens and earth, the secret method of sword aura wouldn't be of much use. On the contrary, if he absorbed the chaotic demonic chi into his body, it would bring great trouble to himself and severely affect his strength. Second, even if he ignored the corrosive impact of the chaotic demonic chi, Chernzong wouldn't have the time to deploy the secret method of sword aura after being locked down by the aura of the three tigers of Wanzhong. Of course, the first reason was the most important. If it wasn't for this reason, he would have still been able to successfully deploy the secret method. The 10-meter-long fierce tiger seemed to have materialized, as if it were a true violent tiger. It leapt into the air, and came crashing down like a meteor, its aura soaring to the heavens. Mad Tiger's 10,000 volley kill. This was the most powerful move of the three tigers of Wanzhong. Before it arrived, its terrifying aura had already shattered the ground around Chernzong inch by inch, layer by layer. Chernzong's aura was once again defeated. His body swayed like a candle in the wind, about to be extinguished at any time. This move. The person lurking in the dark shook his head slightly. He quietly mobilized his strength, ready to rescue Chernzong at any time. The defeated aura condensed again, unprecedentedly powerful. The red jade sword bloomed with an unparalleled light. This light was monstrous, like a scorching sun in the sky. The aura of the red jade sword was fully released, and the power of the red jade sword was fully condensed. Under normal circumstances, when a transcendent realm master used a spirit artifact, he wouldn't go beyond the limit of the power of the spirit artifact. This was because that would damage the spirit artifact's spirituality. In serious cases, the spirit artifact would be reduced to a piece of scrap metal. But now, he couldn't care less. If he didn't use all his strength, he might die. The crimson sword light shocked the heavens and earth, tearing everything apart and slashing out. Boom, boom, boom. The sword light collided with the wild tiger, shattering inch by inch, turning into a red light that spread out. The wild tiger was also affected and gradually faded. Boom. The sword light was completely shattered, and a terrible force blasted towards Chernzong, trying to blow Chernzong to pieces. In an instant, the person lurking in the dark moved. His figure flashed and turned into a shadow, appearing beside Chernzong and directly grabbing Chernzong's shoulder. At this time, Chernzong's consciousness was not clear. He only felt his shoulder being grabbed, but he didn't feel the slightest murderous intent from this person. His spirit sense left the dark feather shield. Just a moment ago, Chernzong was about to activate the dark feather shield to resist the opponent's attack. Who? Chase. When the three tigers of Wanzhong saw that Chernzong was about to be killed, an unforeseen event occurred. Unexpectedly, he was rescued by someone. They were enraged. Immediately, they erupted with their fastest speed and chased after him. What they didn't know was that the person who saved them was an earthly spirit realm expert who could shrink the ground into an inch. How could they possibly catch up with him? In just a few breaths, the three of them found that they had completely lost sight of him. They couldn't even sense his remaining aura. The three of them had no choice but to stop, their expressions grave. Who did this? Short Tiger's face was ashen. Let me know who it is. I won't let him go. Wild Tiger was even more furious. He had saved Chernzong with a single blow. This person is most likely from the Demon Suppression Army. Long Tiger was more rational, his eyes flashing. The Demon Suppression Army. Wild Tiger was even more furious. The Demon Suppression Army intervened in this matter. Short Tiger was furious, but he also started to think. They didn't know what was going on. We can only say that it might be someone from the Demon Suppression Army, but we can't rule out other people. Long Tiger said again. After all, they didn't see it clearly and were only guessing. Without evidence, it was just a guess. A guess couldn't become a fact. If they went to the demon suppression army based on a guess, not only would they not get anything out of it, they would also attract unnecessary trouble. Their Wanzhong Demon Hunt Squad was indeed tyrannical, but the demon suppression army was even more tyrannical. The three of them knew that no matter whether the person who saved Chen Zong was from the demon suppression army or not, they had already lost the chance to kill Chen Zong. They couldn't help but feel angry and a shadow cast over their hearts. Chen Zong's talent was too shocking. Such a person had survived and was an enemy of the Wanzhong Demon Hunt Squad. In the future, he might bring great trouble to the Wanzhong Demon Hunt Squad. Not to mention the distant future, just the fact that the three of them had chased after Chen Zong meant that they would definitely be retaliated against in the future. The three of them clearly understood that if they didn't have a great opportunity, they would be stuck at the extreme mortal realm for the rest of their lives, with no hope of reaching the Earth Spirit realm. And it wouldn't be too difficult for Chen Zong to reach the Earth Spirit realm. Let's go. No need to think too much. We'll report this matter and let Vice Captain Duan worry about it. Long Tiger said. The three of them had no choice but to leave this place and return to the demon suppression fortress. The illusory figure carried Chen Zong and flew past at an astonishing speed. Gradually, Chen Zong recovered a bit of his strength and took out some pills to take. That sword strike just now had depleted his spiritual sense and spiritual energy. Even his tyrannical qi and blood were nearly depleted. There was not much left of his powerful body refinement strength. His entire body was limp from head to toe. Frankly speaking, this was an excessive consumption of spiritual energy. If he didn't replenish it in time, it would very likely leave behind negative effect. Fortunately, Chen Zong didn't lack spiritual energy replenishing pills. Chapter 784. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Bang! The hard wooden table was smashed to pieces by the palm, and the terrifying shockwave caused the floor, which was as hard as steel, to collapse. The hall shook incessantly, as if it was about to collapse. The ball made of demon horns was once again turned into powder, scattering on the ground. Duan Tianchou's complexion was ashen, his eyes filled with extreme anger and killing intent, his chest heaving up and down rapidly. You've gone too far. You've gone too far. Duan Tianchou roared angrily, his eyes scarlet, like an angry beast about to devour its prey. Duan Tianchou was almost certain that the person who saved Chen Zong was someone from the demon-suppressing army. But so what? If he had irrefutable evidence, combined with the previous warning, he would have a reason to go to the demon-suppressing army to seek justice. But without sufficient evidence, he could only rely on guesses. Even if his guesses were true, he wouldn't be able to gain any benefits from going to the demon-suppressing army. First, they sent someone to warn him not to dispatch powerhouses above the extreme mortal stage to kill Chen Zong. Good, he sent the 3 Tigers of Wanzhong, the strongest extreme mortal stage powerhouses in the Wanzhong Demon Hunt Squad. He originally thought that he would be able to kill Chen Zong, but unexpectedly, he was saved instead. The 9th General of the 4th Army's War Dragon Division. Duan Tianchou gnashed his teeth in hatred. He finally understood that his actions were considered a form of training for Chen Zong. This was the only explanation. Not being able to kill his enemy, and being treated as a form of training, Duan Tianchou had never encountered such a sullen situation before. Even when his cultivation wasn't high, he had never encountered such a situation. Only, who was this 9th General of the 4th Army? Why did he want to protect Chen Zong? Duan Tianchou didn't know. You are the eldest senior brother? Chen Zong looked at the tall and sturdy man in front of him in astonishment, asking in reply. That's me. Tang Guo smiled, his voice loud and clear. Tang Guo was wearing a black full-body armor of the Beast Devourer. He looked very dignified, and his aura was condensed and overbearing. He was emitting waves of tyrannical aura. There was no doubt that this full body armor was a spiritual artifact. Moreover, it was not as simple as a low-grade spiritual artifact. Behind him was a cloak that looked like it was stained with blood. It was also emitting waves of tyrannical spiritual weapon fluctuations. It was not as simple as a low-grade spiritual weapon. He looked like he was in his 50s, and his face was very ordinary, but he contained a dignified aura. His appearance was indeed 80 to 90% similar to the portrait his master had shown him. Chen Zong greets eldest senior brother. Chen Zong saluted. Junior brother, there's no need to be so polite, Tang Guo said with a smile. He had already understood the course of events clearly. From this point, it could be seen that Chen Zong's talent and potential were extremely shocking, far above his own. Even so, Tang Guo was not jealous at all. Instead, he was happy. He was happy for his master because he had received such a brilliant disciple like Chen Zong. He was also happy for himself because he had such a brilliant junior brother. Although he did not return to the Tai Yuan Heaven sect, Tang Guo would contact his master every once in a while. He also learned about his junior brother's character and so on from his master. Now that his master was in a coma due to the demonic poison and the backlash from the forbidden technique, Tang Guo was constantly working hard despite his worries. However, it was too difficult to obtain the antidote for the demonic poison. He had yet to achieve this goal. Junior brother, please sit, Tang Guo said, and sat down on a chair behind a table. Actually, junior brother, when you became a demon hunter, I heard about you. However, I couldn't confirm it at that time. After all, there are many people with the same name in the world. Thank you, senior brother. Hearing this, Chen Zong knew that his eldest senior brother must have given orders. Otherwise, he would not have paid special attention to his name. I truly confirmed that it was you, junior brother, on the Blood Cho arena. Tang Guo smiled again. After confirming that it was you, I did not immediately meet you because I knew that Duan Tiancho from the 10,000 Heavy Demon Hunt Squad would definitely take revenge on you, so Tang Guo explained what he had done to them. Senior brother acted on his own. Junior brother, please don't blame me. In the end, Tang Guo said apologetically. For senior brother to remember me and even protect my life, junior brother can only be grateful. How could I blame you? Chen Zong hurriedly bowed. This was the truth. In this world, there was no such thing as love or hatred for no reason. If they were not fellow disciples, Tang Guo would not have paid attention to him and paid attention to him. You and I don't need to be so polite. Tang Guo smiled. Right, eldest senior brother, is second senior brother also in the demon-suppressing fort? Chen Zong thought of second senior brother Feng Shigui and asked. Your second senior brother has indeed come to the demon-suppressing fort. However, he is not in the demon-suppressing fort now, but in the earth demon abyss. Tang Guo's expression was solemn. Because of the demonic poison in Master's body, us fellow disciples are all working hard. Your second senior brother's purpose in entering the earth demon abyss is to pick the demonic medicine needed to refine the demonic poison antidote. Hearing this, Chen Zong's expression became somewhat gloomy. The reason why Master did this was to protect him. In other words, if not for him, Master would not have fallen to such a state. Junior brother, you don't need to blame yourself. Tang Guo saw through Chen Zong's thoughts at a glance and comforted him. Master is very happy to accept you as his disciple. He has told me more than once that you are his pride and that you should not disappoint him. If you feel guilty and uneasy, then work harder to cultivate and become stronger, so that you can obtain the demonic poison antidote for Master. I will not hesitate to die a horrible death. Chen Zong said solemnly. Junior brother, what do you think of the demon-suppressing army? Tang Guo changed the topic. To be honest, senior brother, I don't know much about the demon-suppressing army. I can't talk about it, but I admire it, Chunzong said. Then, if you were given a chance to join the demon-suppressing army, would you be willing? Tang Guo asked again. I am willing, Chunzong answered. The reason why he came to the demon-suppressing fort was to train and become stronger. Training was not limited to killing demonic creatures. There were other aspects, such as exchanging merits and so on. He became a demon hunter because of this. If there was a chance to join the demon-suppressing army and become a higher existence than demon hunters, Chunzong naturally would not reject it. Under normal circumstances, demon hunters are required to reach a certain level and pass through many strict tests before they are qualified to join the demon-suppressing army and become a member. Tang Guo said in a serious tone, therefore, every demon-suppressing army member has a high cultivation level and powerful strength. They are the elites of the elite. Demon hunters cannot compare to them. Senior brother, what's the lowest cultivation level in the demon-suppressing army? Chunzong couldn't help but ask. From what I know, the lowest cultivation level in the demon-suppressing 5 armies is the peak of the 4th level of the mortal realm. However, they are very powerful and can at least cross a level and kill a normal peak of the 5th level of the mortal realm. Tang Guo said, Junior brother, is your cultivation level at the mid-4th level of the mortal realm? Chunzong nodded. Junior brother, you've also cultivated the path of body refining, right? Tang Guo asked again, and received an affirmative answer from Chunzong. No matter what, Junior brother's cultivation level is at the mid-4th level of the mortal realm. However, you can combine it with the path of body refining and unleash the strength of a normal 9th level of the mortal realm. You can even fight against Kuang Hu of the 3 tigers of Wanchong. This shows how extraordinary you are. With Junior brother's ability, the demon-suppressing swords tests are nothing. Tang Guo smiled. Senior brother, the demon-suppressing army has strict rules. If you want me to join the demon-suppressing army without any prerequisites, I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Chunzong asked in reply. It will be a little difficult, but it's okay, I can handle it. Tang Guo waved his hand and said directly. His tone was firm because he had already decided to use his power and ability to make Chunzong join the demon-suppressing army as soon as possible. Junior brother, you don't need to worry. As long as you don't lose the prestige of our Blue Feather Mountain after joining the demon-suppressing army, everything will be fine. Chunzong didn't know how difficult it would be, but he guessed that it wouldn't be that simple. However, since his senior brother didn't want to talk about it, Chunzong also couldn't ask more. He could only make up his mind that if he joined the demon-suppressing army, he would definitely not lose the prestige of the Blue Feather Mountain. This wasn't only for the Blue Feather Mountain, for his master, for his senior brother, but also for himself. Before you join, let me introduce you to the demon-suppressing army. Tang Guo smiled. The origin of the demon-suppressing army was first established by the demon-suppressing Great Emperor. Its purpose was to guard the Earth Demon Abyss and prevent the underground demon race and underground demons from invading the Blue Waves continent, causing destruction and massacre. In the beginning, the demon-suppressing army was formed by members of various sect forces. As it developed, some loose cultivators gradually joined and continuously strengthened the demon-suppressing army. The current system of the demon-suppressing army is very complete. The demon-suppressing army is a general name. Internally, it is divided into 5 armies. They are respectively called the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th armies. This name is not a ranking, but the order of establishment. In the demon-suppressing army, the general commander is the most respected. The first general commander was the demon-suppressing Great Emperor. Under the general commander, there are 5 generals. Each of the 5 generals is in charge of an army. The 5 generals are all emperor-level experts. Hearing this, Chunzong was shocked. The 5 generals were all emperor-level experts. Without a doubt, the general commander was also an emperor-level expert. In the demon-suppressing army, there were 6 emperor-level experts. Although the Tai Yuan Heaven sect was so powerful, there were only 2. Under the general commander are the titled generals. Currently, there are a total of 18 titled generals in the demon-suppressing army. Every one of them has reached the late profound sky realm. According to Chun Zong's knowledge, there were no more than 10 people in the Tai Yuan Heaven sect who had reached the late profound sky realm. Under the titled generals are the battle generals. Battle generals are divided into low, middle and high ranks. Most of the battle generals are in the early to middle profound sky realm. Senior brother, are you a battle general? Chun Zong's eyes flashed as he suddenly asked. That's right. I was promoted to a low-rank battle general not long ago. Tang Guo smiled and said, however, I haven't reached the profound sky realm yet. I'm only an emperor in the earth spirit realm. Emperor level. Chun Zong couldn't help but gasp. His eyes were filled with shock as he looked at Tang Guo. This eldest senior brother of his was actually an emperor-level powerhouse. The potential of an emperor-level expert was much greater than that of an ordinary profound sky realm expert. Their status was also invisibly higher. It wasn't too special for an emperor-level expert to become a battle general. Chapter 785. Added to last night's update. The demon suppression fortress was huge, like an ancient giant beast crawling on the ground, guarding an area. There were a few places in the demon suppression fortress that were very famous. One of them was the Demon Hunter Hall. The Demon Hunter Hall was only accessible to warriors who applied to become demon hunters and real demon hunters. The other was the Demon Suppression Barrack. Compared to the Demon Hunter Hall, the Demon Suppression Barracks was more mysterious because ordinary warriors were not allowed to get close. Even demon hunters were not allowed to get close if there was no important matter, let alone enter. The Demon Suppression Barracks was mainly black, and the flag was blood red. It was said that it was dyed with the blood of the demons. The demons underground were different from the demons underground. They were stronger and were the real enemy of the cultivators. They could even command the demons underground to attack the surface world. Compared to the demons underground were stronger and more cunning. Stepping into the demon suppression barracks, Chun Zong felt a chill in the air. Even the air seemed to be covered with a faint layer of scarlet. This was an extremely strict place. Kill! A series of uniform shouts suddenly sounded. The sound waves blended into one and shook the earth. The terrifying murderous aura filled the air. From afar, Chun Zong saw a red mist condensing in the sky like a ferocious beast, roaring and brandishing its claws, wanting to kill everything. Chun Zong's body trembled involuntarily. His hair stood on end and his muscles tightened. The tyrannical power in his body surged involuntarily, ready to attack at any time. Junior brother, relax. Tang Guo smiled. When I first stepped into the demon suppression barracks, I was even more nervous than you. Taking a deep breath, he inhaled the cold bloody smell in the air into his body. His muscles slowly relaxed. If it was an ordinary warrior who came here, he would not be able to withstand such a terrifying aura and would fall to the ground. If his cultivation was too low and his willpower was not strong enough, he would probably be shocked to death. Senior brother, what was that? After Chun Zong calmed down, he was still surprised. That was the demon suppression barracks drill. Tang Guo smiled. Drill? Chun Zong was surprised. It was just a drill, but the aura was already so terrifying. If it was a real battle, wouldn't it be even more horrifying? After stepping into the barracks, Chun Zong looked in the direction of the murderous aura. He could see blurry figures that seemed to be shrouded in blood. The demon suppression barracks occupied a vast area. It was divided into 5 barracks. Tang Guo took Chun Zong to the 4th barrack. Tang Guo's status in the barracks, but there were many people who were higher than him. After all, warlords were divided into 3 grades. Tanghua was only a low-grade warlord. Above the warlords were the titled warlords and army commanders. As for the mysterious army commander, it was said that he was in seclusion and rarely appeared. Chernzong. Junior brother, wait for me here. There were 2 armored demon suppression barracks guards at the entrance of the barrack. When they saw Tanghua, they bowed slightly. About half an hour later, Chernzong was summoned. With a solemn expression, Chernzong stepped into the barracks under the watchful eyes of the 2 demon suppression barracks guards. Darkness and light alternated. Chernzong felt 2 blazing rays of light fall on his body. They were extremely domineering and sharp, as if they were going to pierce through him. Instantly, his hair stood on end. His muscles tightened, and his bones emitted bursts of explosive sounds. His chi and blood surged, and his spiritual power surged. Muffled thunder rumbled in his body. Very strong. The person who was staring at him was very, very strong and terrifying. Chernzong knew that even if he used the highest level Dark Feather Shield, he wouldn't be able to defend against the opponent's attack. Seems okay. Immediately, the gaze became reserved. The pressure on Chernzong was greatly reduced. Then, a slightly hoarse voice sounded. Haha, General Nangong, my junior brother Chernzong is very talented. He's even more talented than me. What he lacks now is only time and opportunity. Tanghua stood on the side and said with a respectful smile. Sitting on the main seat was a figure that was not very tall. In fact, he could only be considered to be small and skinny. He appeared to be very old and somewhat stooped. His pair of eyes appeared to be dim and lifeless, with a hint of turbidity. This old man was wearing black armor and a blood-red cloak draped over his back. Although he looked very thin and ordinary, Chernzong didn't dare to underestimate him. First, his senior brother called him a general. In other words, he was one of the 18 titled generals in the demon suppression barrack. His cultivation was at least in the 7th level of the heavenly profound realm. Second, Chernzong wouldn't forget the gaze just now. It was so terrifying that it felt like it was going to pierce through him. Standing there quietly, Chernzong didn't say a word. General Nangong's cloudy eyes moved away from Chernzong and fell on Tanghua. He asked again, General Tangzhan, have you made your decision? I've made my decision. Tanghua replied seriously. In that case, let your junior brother enter the 4th Army's Hidden Dragon Division first. General Nangong said. Yes. Tanghua bowed and left with Chernzong. Chernzong also bowed to General Nangong. Then, he turned around and followed his senior brother out of the military palace. The demon suppression barracks was divided into 5 armies. Each army had its own division. The Hidden Dragon Division was one of them. Tanghua had already explained it to Chernzong in detail. The divisions in each army were the Hidden Dragon Division, the War Dragon Division, the Diligent Dragon Division, and the Piercing Dragon Division. Each division was clearly separated. They each had their own duties and were related to each other. As for the Hidden Dragon Division, it was the most special division. It was directly under the 5 armies, but it was separated. It was in charge of the training of new recruits. After the recruits were trained well, they would be sent to the other divisions of the 5 armies. The Hidden Dragon Division was in charge of collecting and organizing information. Then, it would inform the War Dragon Division and the Piercing Dragon Division. The War Dragon Division was in charge of fighting. They were in charge of defending against the invasion of the underground demons and the underground demons. The Piercing Dragon Division was also in charge of fighting. However, they were different from the War Dragon Division. They were better at attacking from 1,000 miles away and killing with one strike. If the demon suppression sergeants of the War Dragon Division were warriors in charge, then the sergeants of the Piercing Dragon Division were assassins. Lastly, the Diligent Dragon Division was in charge of logistics. They were in charge of distributing resources to the other divisions. Chernzong had just joined the demon suppression barrack. Naturally, he had to enter the Hidden Dragon Division first to receive some training. After the training, he would be assigned according to his performance. The senior brother Tanghua belonged to the War Dragon Division. He was the 9th general. The other 8 generals of the War Dragon Division were all in the Profound Sky realm. Junior brother, after entering the Hidden Dragon Division, train well. Tanghua said. Don't worry, senior brother. Chernzong said. The training will last for half a year. After half a year, there will be a test. If you pass the test, you will participate in the competition. If you don't pass the test, you will be assigned to other places. Tanghua said again, Junior brother, you must remember that no matter what the training is, you must do your best to complete it. Strive to achieve the best result. Under Tanghua's guidance, Chernzong entered the Hidden Dragon Division. Chernzong nodded. After arranging Chernzong into the Hidden Dragon Division, Tanghua left. He still had other things to take care of. As for other things, Tanghua didn't give Chernzong extra care, because he didn't need it. Arranging Chernzong into the Demon Suppression Barracks was only to reduce Chernzong's time, so that he could get in touch with the higher-ups faster. As for other things, Chernzong had to work hard to fight for them. This was also in line with Chernzong's intention. Right now, you are only a reserve sergeant. Only after you pass the training can you be promoted to a first-grade sergeant. After that, your promotion will depend on your contributions. The person in charge of receiving Chernzong in the Hidden Dragon Division said to Chernzong. Chernzong nodded to show that he understood. In the Demon Suppression Barracks, the highest rank was General Commander, then General Commander, then Grand Conferment, 3rd grade Battle General, and finally Sergeant, which was divided into 6 grades. Every battle general had risen from the ranks of a soldier. From tomorrow onwards, you will be training with the other recruit. This is your equipment. Remember to bring it. Because Chernzong used a sword, he was given a black long sword and a simple black armor. The hardness and toughness of the long sword and the armor reached the level of a low-grade spiritual weapon, but they didn't have the spirituality that a spiritual weapon should have. Therefore, they weren't considered low-grade spiritual weapons. The long sword and the armor were only for training. After becoming a reserve demon suppression sergeant, he would be given 100 merit points every month. Merit points were important to both demon hunters and the demon suppression barracks, but there was a difference between the two. For demon hunters, merit points were not only used to exchange, but also the standard to promote their rank. However, for the demon suppression barracks, merit points were only used to exchange, and couldn't be used to promote their rank. Only by making military contributions could they promote their rank. Chernzong had already gained hundreds of merit points by killing demons outside the demon suppression fortress. Now, he gained another 100. There were also some magic medicines and demon body parts in his mustard seed bag. If he went to the demon hunting hall and turned in the mission, he could get another 100 merit points. However, according to the rules of the demon suppression barracks, during the training period of the Hidden Dragon Division, no one was allowed to leave the barracks. Chernzong had to give up the idea of going to the demon hunting hall. Everything could wait until the training was over. As for the content of the training, Chernzong didn't know, but he wasn't afraid at all. The duty of the demon suppression barracks was to fight against the underground demons and demons. Their training should be inseparable from this aspect. Chernzong was arranged to live in an independent dormitory. It was very simple: a bed, a table, a chair, and a cattail hassock. That was all. However, such a simple place would be the place where he would spend the next few months or even a year. Chernzong wasn't dissatisfied with this. He had been in worse environments, so this was nothing. Sitting cross-legged on the hassock, Chernzong took out 2 mid-grade spiritual sources, one in each hand, and started to absorb the pure spiritual energy in them to practice the mind mystery skill. In the past, the cultivation of body refining had been his shortcoming, but now, the cultivation of chi refining had become his shortcoming, and he needed to improve it urgently. Only by making up for his shortcoming and improving his essence, chi, and spirit would be the best. Chapter 786. The sky was just beginning to brighten, and the embers of the night had not yet dissipated. Chen Zong had already gotten up and was ready to go. Today was the first day that Chen Zong joined the Hidden Dragon Division of the Demon Suppression Army. It was also the first day that he was going to participate in the training. According to his big brother, he was a bit late, because the last time the Demon Suppression Army recruited people was 2 months ago. The training period was half a year. In other words, he had 2 months less time than those reserve warriors. Chen Zong came to the training camp of the Hidden Dragon Division as early as possible. The other reserve warriors also came over in 2s and 3s. There was a titled general in charge of the Hidden Dragon Division, but that titled general rarely showed himself. He spent most of his time cultivating. Below him, there were 4 other battle generals. To some extent, the 4 of them were more like the true managers of the Hidden Dragon Division. The 4 battle generals were all in the profound sky realm. Of course, they wouldn't train the reserve warriors themselves. The trainers were the soldiers of the Demon Suppression Army. There were hundreds of reserve warriors. They were divided into many squads. The maximum number of people in each squad was 12. Each squad was led by an official soldier who was in charge of their daily training. Among these teams, there just happened to be one that was not full. It was missing one person, and Chen Zong was arranged to be in this team. Every squad had its own training room. In the 35th training room, Ouyang walked into the room first. The 11 people who had already arrived sat up straight immediately. The first thing we need to do before the training starts today is to fill up our squad. Ouyang said expressionlessly, but he was a bit dissatisfied. Then he said to the door, "Come in." Under the gazes of the 11 people, a figure walked in calmly and unhurriedly. They were curious, scrutinizing, disdainful, and so on. They all looked at Chen Zong, but they couldn't affect Chen Zong at all. "Introduce yourself." Ouyang was a bit dissatisfied, but he didn't show it. His tone was a bit stiff. "Headmaster, everyone, my name is Chen Zong. It's my honor to join the 35th squad. I hope we can get along well in the future." Chen Zong said calmly. "All right, sit down first. Today's training will begin now," Ouyang said. Chen Zong did not object. He found an empty seat and sat down. However, he was curious about the content of the training. Our Demon Suppression Army's biggest enemy is the subterranean demons. The subterranean demons are just secondary. Ouyang said, "The underground demons are more powerful than the underground demons, and they have more tricks up their sleeves. It's hard to guard against them. In addition, the underground demons have different talents. This is something that we cultivators can't compare with. The only way for us to better resist the underground demons is to cultivate the demon resisting seal, demon binding seal, and demon slaying seal. Only by cultivating these 3 seals can we, to a certain extent, make up for the innate gap between us cultivators and the underground demons. Demon defending seal, demon binding seal, demon slaying seal." Chen Zong was slightly shocked. Could this be the secret of the demon-suppressing army's strength? It should be. In fact, Ouyang had already said these words. The reason why he repeated them was mainly for Chen Zong to hear. Although he was dissatisfied with Chen Zong, he did not want to be on bad terms with Chen Zong. After all, Chen Zong could enter the demon-suppressing army now, so he must have a powerful backer. However, Ouyang had no one to rely on. It would do him no good to be on bad terms with Chen Zong. In this case, he might as well do his job as a commander. After all, it was just a matter of saying a few more words. The training of the Hidden Dragon Division lasts for half a year. If you want to pass the assessment, you must at least learn the first move of the demon-resisting seal. In the past 2 months, I've already explained the first move of the demon-resisting seal thoroughly. The rest depends on your own effort. Try to master it as soon as possible. Today, I'll continue to explain the first move of the demon-binding seal to you. I hope you can master it as soon as possible, Ouyang-Zhe said. In other words, Ouyang-Zhe did not intend to slow down the progress of the assessment for Chen Zong. In fact, it was impossible, because every commander who led a team would be rewarded with military merit. If the team could all pass the assessment, they would be rewarded with military merit. Even if they could not all pass the assessment, they would still be rewarded with military merit. As for the amount of rewards, it was closely related to the number of people who passed the assessment. Chen Zong did not self-righteously interrupt the other party. Instead, he listened quietly. However, due to the lack of sufficient information and foundation, the explanation of the first form of the demon-binding seal made Chen Zong feel as if he was in the clouds. However, Chen Zong still remembered everything that Ouyang-Zhe had explained. The other 11 people also focused their attention, ignoring Chen Zong. Nothing was more important than good training, because if they could not pass the assessment, it would mean that they would have to leave the demon-suppressing army. The demon-binding seal was very mysterious. Ouyang-Zhe explained the theory and demonstrated it with his hand. He did not stop until 2 hours later. Even so, he did not explain all the mysteries of the first move of the demon-binding seal. These 3 seals were created by the ancestors after hundreds of years of painstaking comprehension and research on the underground demons and the chaotic demon Qi. After many modifications, they were finally finalized, and their mysteries were incomparably profound. Ordinary warriors could not even comprehend it, let alone cultivate it. There was only one result if they forced themselves to cultivate it, and that was to be corroded by the chaotic demon Qi. They would either die or lose their mind and become a demonic human. Only warriors with higher talent and better comprehension could cultivate it. Otherwise, the demon-suppressing army would have spread the 3 seals long ago, allowing more warriors to cultivate it. This way they could further strengthen the strength of the cultivators, and better defend against the underground demons and monsters. I can only take you through the basics of the 3 seals. As for how you can cultivate it to a higher level, it will depend on your own effort. Ouyang-Zhe said seriously, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. However, I can tell you how I cultivated the 3 seals. I used my body to withstand the chaotic demon Qi and analyzed the essence of the chaotic demon Qi. Hearing this, the faces of everyone, including Chen Zong, changed. Using one's body to withstand the chaotic demon Qi and analyze the essence of the chaotic demon Qi to aid the cultivation of the 3 seals. This method sounded very simple, and those who had not experienced it personally would not know the hardships and dangers involved. However, excluding Chen Zong, the 11 of them were all experienced demon hunters. They had stepped into the earth demon abyss to hunt the underground demons, and had even encountered them before. Naturally, the chaotic demon Qi had invaded their bodies. The chaotic demon Qi was very powerful, and it would only cause damage when it entered the body. Those who had experienced it would not be willing to experience it a second time. Chen Zong had experienced it before. He had taken the initiative to absorb a trace of chaotic demon Qi into his body in order to understand its characteristic. It was very uncomfortable, and he quickly expelled it. With the mysteries of the 3 seals, it was not possible to accelerate the cultivation of the 3 seals by absorbing the chaotic demon Qi once, twice, or thrice. At that moment, everyone looked at Ouyang-Zhe with admiration. That's my experience. It's up to you whether you want to try it or not. However, I have to remind you that it's very dangerous to absorb the chaotic demon Qi into your body. If you're not careful, the chaotic demon Qi may corrode your mind. Therefore, it's best to be fully prepared before you try it, Ouyang-Zhe said seriously. Thank you, Hierarch. Rest assured, Hierarch. One by one, they bowed. Chernzong, I'll be frank with you. I can't delay the teaching of the three seals because of you, and I won't take the time to teach you alone. Yangzi looked at Chernzong and said very directly. Firstly, he was dissatisfied with Chernzong, who had entered through the back door. Secondly, he also needed time to cultivate. Otherwise, how could he improve his cultivation and strength? Chernzong understood Yangzi's thoughts, but his heart sank slightly. If no one taught him the three seals, how could he cultivate it? If he couldn't cultivate the three seals, he would have joined the demon suppression army for nothing. He would have let down his senior brother's efforts. Hierarch, if I may ask, do you have any books that record the three seals? Chernzong asked in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Yes. As he answered, Yangzi curled his lips and flashed a trace of disdain. If you're willing, I'll give it to you. As he spoke, Yangzi took out a black and red booklet and threw it to Chernzong. The first style of the three seals is recorded in this booklet. Chernzong naturally saw the disdain in Yangzi's eyes, but he wasn't angry because of it. It wasn't worth it. As he took the black booklet, a cold aura spread between his fingers. This booklet should be made of some kind of skin. The cover was a little rough and emitted traces of demon chi. It might be made of some kind of demon's skin. The booklet was about 2 fingers thick, but it weighed more than 50 kilograms. After throwing the booklet to Chernzong, Yangzi turned and left. In his opinion, Chernzong couldn't cultivate the three seals without anyone's guidance, even the first style of the demon suppression seal. As for finding someone to teach him, there were 11 other people in the 35th team. They had barely cultivated the first style of the demon suppression seal and hadn't fully grasped it. If he asked them for help, it would only be worse. Of course, since Chernzong had entered the army through the back door, it meant that he had a strong backer. He could start from his backer and find someone to teach him. Anyway, Yangzi didn't want to pay attention to him. Of course, it would be better if Chernzong could cultivate the three seals. As soon as Yangzi left, the other 11 people also left. Wake up, without anyone's guidance, it's impossible to cultivate the three seals. One of the one-eyed middle-aged men said. Because of his one eye, his smile looked a little bit ferocious. Who knows, maybe he can cultivate it? It was the voice of a middle-aged woman. It sounded like she was supporting Chernzong, but her tone was a little bit disdainful. Obviously, it was also a kind of mockery. They were not stupid. They all passed many tests and finally entered the Demon Suppression Army to train in the Hidden Dragon Division. However, Chernzong had just arrived. Obviously, he got in through the back door. Chapter 787. New Year, New Month. Looking for monthly votes. Chernzong didn't join the Demon Suppression Army and the Hidden Dragon Tribe to compete with others. Instead, he wanted to improve himself. Therefore, Chernzong didn't care about Yangzi's disrespect or his teammates' disdain and sarcasm. If he wanted to fight back, the best way to do so was to master the first move of the three seals within half a year. Chernzong returned to his residence with the book with the three seals given by Yangzi. The training in the Hidden Dragon Tribe was different from what Chernzong had imagined. Chernzong thought it would be about improving his cultivation and actual combat. He didn't expect that it would be about the practice of the three seals. But when he thought about it carefully, it made sense. Every demon hunter who passed the test usually had a high cultivation. They were at least in the mid-stage of the extreme mortal realm. Moreover, being able to become a senior demon hunter meant that they had a strong cultivation. In this aspect, it was difficult to achieve significant results with only half a year's training. Therefore, it was reasonable for them to practice the three seals. Only the three seals could really distinguish the Demon Suppression Army from the demon hunters. Chernzong couldn't help but look forward to it more. Chernzong opened the rough cover and looked at the first page, which was the main text. The main text was about the description and analysis of power. There were descriptions about the practitioner's spiritual energy, the chaotic demon chi, and the power of the underground demons and the underground demons, and so on. With his ability, he could read 10 lines at a glance. However, Chernzong still read it very carefully and chose every word carefully. After reading the analysis of power, Chernzong felt that he hadn't had enough. It was wonderful and insightful. The person who wrote this content had a very deep and unique understanding of all kinds of power. Chernzong's eyes lit up, and he slapped the table in praise. These were things that he had never thought of. Or rather, he hadn't thought of them yet. Chernzong felt that his mastery of his own spiritual power had improved by a few notches just from the explanation and analysis of his spiritual power. As soon as he thought about it, a pure spiritual power surged out from his left hand. It was like wisps of smoke lingering around his 5 fingers, constantly transforming into various shapes. Like a snake, like a dragon, like a tiger leaping in the forest. From time to time, it would transform into a sea of clouds and mist. Soon after, a white dragon flew out from the clouds and mist, vaguely letting out a clear roar. Chernzong was having a lot of fun. Originally, his control over his own power had already reached a very high level. Now that he had seen the contents of the analysis of spiritual power, he had a flash of inspiration. All of the accumulated knowledge he had accumulated in the past erupted in an instant, and he absorbed them all. After another round of experimentation, his control over his own spiritual power had become much smoother and calmer. If spiritual energy was like this, then what about the chaotic demonic energy and the demonic energy of the demons? What Chernzong didn't know was that because he wasn't a demon, he couldn't control the chaotic demon chi and demon chi. But thinking about it, it should be correct. With a slight shake of the 5 fingers of his left hand, the smoke-like spiritual power suddenly shrank from his 5 fingers into his hand and lurked in his body. Chernzong continued to read. After the explanation of power, it was the content of the demon-resisting seal, one of the 3 seals. This chapter further elaborated the essence of the chaotic demon chi, allowing people to have a deeper and more thorough understanding of the chaotic demon chi. Of course, this was also a theoretical state on the surface. It required the cultivator to personally come into contact with the chaotic demon chi and combine it with the above theory to have a deeper understanding and more thorough understanding. Before this, Chernzong had personally come into contact with the chaotic demon chi and absorbed a trace of it into his body for analysis. Combining the feeling at that time and the content he was reading now, Chernzong had a deeper understanding of the chaotic demon chi. Continuing to read, it was the content on how to use the chaotic demon chi. Use. Chernzong's eyes lit up again, but he was surprised in his heart. What a cultivator cultivated was basically spiritual power, and what they absorbed was the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The chaotic demon chi was a kind of power that was opposite to the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. For most cultivators, absorbing the chaotic demon chi would do more harm than good. Even some cultivators who cultivated the demonic arts would not directly absorb the chaotic demon chi. But now, in the description of the demon-resisting seal, it mentioned the use of the chaotic demon chi. Could it be, the so-called demon-resisting seal is to control the chaotic demon chi? Chernzong could not help but come up with a guess. He hurriedly continued reading, and then, his guess was confirmed, but he was even more surprised. The so-called demon-resisting seal was indeed to control the chaotic demon chi for one's own use. Although that was the case, it was not simple at all. The chaotic demon chi was essentially the opposite of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It was like water and fire. When a cultivator absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate, the spiritual power in his body had the same nature as the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Naturally, it was incompatible with the chaotic demon chi. Therefore, it was very difficult to control the chaotic demon chi for one's own use. It was like trying to coexist water and fire. In terms of destructive power, the chaotic demon chi was more powerful than the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Similarly, demonic power was more powerful than spiritual power. Of course, the strength of demonic power and spiritual power was also related to the level of the cultivation method. The more advanced the cultivation method, the purer the power cultivated. The purer the power, the stronger the power. However, it was confirmed that the destructive power of demonic power cultivated by the cultivation method of the same level was often 30 to 50% more powerful than spiritual power. After a while, Chern Zong finished reading the contents of the first form of the demon-resisting seal, and the excitement in his heart calmed down. The effect of the demon-resisting seal was indeed to control the chaotic demon chi for one's own use. However, the first form was only the most basic form, and the effect was not that obvious. It was far from being able to control the chaotic demon chi for one's own use. It only prevented one from being eroded by the chaotic demon chi. It did not sound like much, but if one thought about it carefully, one would understand that the benefits were great. The earth demon abyss was divided into 9 layers and the surface layer. The chaotic demon chi on the surface layer leaked out from the first layer. It could already corrode a pseudo-transcendental realm martial artist. Even an extreme mortal realm powerhouse could not stay in the chaotic demon chi on the surface layer for a long time. They needed to have the corresponding means. If one stepped into the first layer of the earth demon abyss, the chaotic demon chi would be denser, and the corrosion would be more obvious. Therefore, demon hunters or demon-suppressing sergeants would have to divide a part of their spiritual power to resist the corrosion of the chaotic demon chi. Imperceptibly, it would cause their own strength to decrease. The underground demons and demons were not affected by this and were instead like fish in water. This would be disadvantageous to the demon hunters or demon-suppressing sergeant. With the first form of the demon-resisting seal, one could avoid the corrosion of the chaotic demon chi, so one would not be affected and be able to exert one's strength better. The first form of the demon-resisting seal was also the foundation of the other 2 seals. Chern Zong was not in a hurry to cultivate. Instead, he continued to read and check the first form of the demon-suppressing seal. Different from the first form of the demon-resisting seal, the demon-suppressing seal was an auxiliary skill. It was used to control the chaotic demon chi to effect, and even restrain the underground demons or demons so that it would be easier to kill them. The content of the demon-suppressing seal was only the first form, but compared to the first form of the demon-resisting seal, it was several times more profound and difficult to understand. After Chern Zong finished reading the last form of the demon-slaying seal, he was completely confused. He could not see the mystery of it, but he felt that it seemed to be very powerful. Even with his level of comprehension, he could not understand it. If it were someone with a lower level of comprehension and no one to teach them, it would be even more difficult. Taking a deep breath, Chern Zong did not believe in heresy and insisted on giving it a try. The foundation was the most important, so he would start with the first form of the demon-resisting seal. The first step was to sense the chaotic demon chi. He had to be able to accurately sense the chaotic demon chi within a 3-meter radius around him to be considered a success. This step was not difficult. As long as one had a certain level of talent, they could basically do it. Not long after, Chern Zong accurately sensed the chaotic demon chi within a 3-meter radius around him. Inside the demon-suppressing fortress, except for some special places, the chaotic demon chi was also everywhere. However, compared to the outside of the fortress, it was more than 10 times thinner and had little effect on the cultivators. Having achieved the first step, Chern Zong was not complacent at all, because this was the simplest step. His soul sense was strong, and his control of power had reached an extremely high level. 3 meters was just the beginning. Gradually, the range of his accurate sensing increased to 4 meters, and then to 5 meters. It kept expanding. When it reached a range of 10 meters, Chen Zong began to feel the difficulty. It was difficult to expand it further. It seemed that he had reached a limit. What Chen Zong wanted to do was to break this limit. He believed that he could do it. With an incomparably firm belief, he expanded it little by little, but it was suppressed again and again. Chen Zong looked solemn. He closed his eyes tightly and his eyelids trembled slightly. It was like a tug of war, and he was in a stalemate. With a crack, as if something had broken, his accurate sensing expanded from 10 meters to 11 meters in an instant. As soon as he broke through, it kept expanding until it reached 15 meters. Then it hit a bottleneck again. After several attempts, Chen Zong still could not break through. He knew that he had reached the limit of his accurate sensing. He began the second step, precise control. First, he shrank his accurate sensing to a range of 3 meters. Then, Chen Zong began to control the chaotic demon qi within this range. At first, it was a little difficult, but with Chen Zong's extraordinary ability and hard work, he became more and more skilled. After a while, the thin chaotic demon qi within 3 meters was precisely controlled by Chen Zong. It peeled off from the air, and gathered into a ball the size of a fist. Like a loose bead, it danced around Chen Zong again and again. Immediately, under Chen Zong's mind, the loose ball of chaotic demon qi began to stretch and turned into a small black snake. It swam around with great agility. With horns on its head and claws under its abdomen, it turned into a flood dragon. Surrounded by black clouds, it rode on the clouds. Chen Zong increased the range of his accurate sensing to 4 meters. It absorbed more chaotic demon qi and made the flood dragon ride on the clouds grow a little bigger. 5 meters. 6 meters. 7 meters. It kept increasing until it reached 10 meters. Chen Zong felt the limit again. He tried again. The flood dragon collapsed and turned into countless black clouds. It reformed into a flood dragon riding on the clouds. He tried again. Chapter 788. The training in the Hidden Dragon Division was 2 hours in the morning. The instructor would explain the secrets of the 3 seals and demonstrate them so that the members could better understand and master them. The afternoon training was also 2 hours. It was mainly to learn about the types, levels, and characteristics of the underground demons, as well as information about the underground demons. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win 100 battles. Chen Zong would arrive at the 35th training room on time every day to listen to Ouyang's explanation. As for their disdain, Chen Zong didn't care at all. He didn't ask Ouyang's or the other members for help. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, it was the 7th day since Chen Zong had entered the Hidden Dragon Division. Inside the Demon Qi cultivation room, Chen Zong spread out the 5 fingers of his left hand and bent them into a strange shape. Then, it started to change at an astonishing speed. As his 5 fingers continued to change, the chaotic demon qi in the demon qi cultivation room also fluctuated. It was as if all the chaotic demon qi within 15 meters of him was connected to his 5 fingers. Pull one hair and the whole body will be affected. Demon Defending Seal. Chen Zong muttered, and the 5 fingers on his left hand changed even faster. The chaotic demonic qi in the surroundings howled wildly. In the blink of an eye, it gathered at Chen Zong's left hand. Chen Zong's face was cold and serious. His eyes were as bright as the sun. He was so focused that sweat appeared on his forehead. This was the 99th time he had tried to use the first move of the Demon Defending Seal. He had failed the previous 98 times. This made Chen Zong realize how difficult it was to practice the Demon Defending Seal. The first move of the Demon Defending Seal alone made Chen Zong feel that it was even more profound than the highest quality Lingwu. He focused all his attention on the chaotic demon qi that was gathering at his left hand. Success or failure depended on this move. Condense. In an instant, the chaotic demon chi rotated along with the 5 fingers on his left hand and compressed toward the center of his palm. In the end, a peculiar black color was formed. It was a black rune, simple and mysterious. Seeing this symbol, Chen Zong couldn't help but feel relieved. A smile appeared on his face. He had finally succeeded on his 99th try. However, he hadn't really mastered the first move of the demon defending seal. To condense 9 different demon-resisting talismans, and then fuse them together to form the true demon-resisting seal. With the success of the first talisman, Chen Zong was confident that he could complete the remaining talismans. After resting for a while to recover his energy, Chen Zong started to condense again. The Demon Chi cultivation room was specially built by the Hidden Dragon tribe so that the people of the Hidden Dragon tribe could better understand the chaotic Demon Chi and better condense the demon-resisting seal. After all, the chaotic demonic energy in the outside world was relatively thin, which was unfavorable for the condensation of the demon-resisting seal. The second talisman was successfully condensed. The third talisman was successfully condensed. One talisman after another, with each successful refinement, the next one would be even more skillful and faster. 4 hours later, Chen Zong successfully condensed 9 demon warding talismans. Each demon warding talisman had a different appearance, as if they were formed from different ancient and mysterious characters. The 9 different talismans were the foundation of the first move of the demon-resisting seal. The 9 talismans kept rotating around Chen Zong. Chen Zong's mind and the 9 talismans were closely connected. Condense. A low shout, like the sound of an ancient god, was mighty and endless. The 9 talismans emitted a strong black light, approached each other, and merged under Chen Zong's conscious control. The first step of the cultivation of the first move of the demon-resisting seal was to precisely sense the chaotic demon chi. The second step was to precisely control the chaotic demon chi. The third step was to condense the talismans. The fourth and final step was to fuse the talismans into the demon-resisting seal. Each step was more difficult than the previous one. In the third step alone, Chen Zong failed 98 times, and only succeeded after 99 times. Even with Chen Zong's talent and comprehension, this was still the case. If it were a cultivator who was not as good as him, the number of failures would be many times higher. As for the fourth step, it was the last and most crucial step. If he failed, the 9 talismans would collapse. Not only would all his previous efforts be wasted, but he would also suffer a backlash. The backlash of the chaotic demon chi was not so easy to bear. The most important step was right in front of him. The fusion of the 9 talismans was not done casually, but in a certain order and direction. There was no room for any mistakes, because one mistake would cause all his previous efforts to be wasted. Long before, Chen Zong had imagined and simulated it many times in his mind. But there was still a clear difference between the imagination in his mind and the actual operation. The 9 talismans were divided into 9 parts. The first talisman needed to be connected to the 9th talisman, the second talisman to the 8th talisman, the third to the 7th talisman, and the 4th to the 6th talisman. As for the 5th talisman, it was the central hub. His mind became more and more focused. Suddenly, a burst of extremely intense black light burst out. It was like the light of a black sun. A strong and pure aura fluctuation spread out. Oh, this is the fluctuation of the demon-controlling seal. It should be the first move. Until now, he has only condensed the first move of the demon-controlling seal. It's not bad. In the Hidden Dragon tribe, some experts could feel the fluctuation of the success of the first move of the demon-controlling seal. It had been 3 months since the beginning of the Hidden Dragon tribe's training. It took 3 months to condense the first move of the demon-controlling seal. In comparison, this speed was relatively ordinary. According to the record, the fastest time to condense the first move of the demon-controlling seal was 1 month, and it had not been broken yet. It took 3 months to condense the first move of the demon-controlling seal. In the following 3 months, it might not be possible to cultivate the first move of the demon-controlling seal, not to mention the first move of the demon-killing seal. But if they knew that the person who condensed the first style of the imperial demon seal, under the circumstances of no one teaching him, relied on his own efforts and only spent 7 days to succeed, it was unknown how shocked they would be. The aura was restrained and the fluctuation disappeared. Chen Zong stared at the black ball floating in front of him, and he could not help but smile. This was the demon-controlling seal. This black ball was about the size of a child's fist. There were 9 different ancient and mysterious talismans on it, and there was a trace of black light, which made it more profound and mysterious. The 9 different talismans seemed to be integrated into one, and vaguely formed an ancient word, controlling. Chen Zong could clearly feel the connection between himself and the demon-controlling seal, which originated from the mind. After all, whether it was condensing the chaotic demon qi into the demon-controlling talisman, or condensing the talisman into the demon-controlling seal, it was integrated with the power of his mind. With a thought, the imperial devil seal began to dance around Chen Zong's body like a lively little elf. Immediately, the demon-controlling seal rushed to Chen Zong. When it touched Chen Zong's body, it merged into Chen Zong's sea of consciousness as if it did not exist. Looking into his sea of consciousness, Chen Zong saw a little black light in his sea of consciousness. It was the demon-controlling seal. As the demon-controlling seal entered his body, Chen Zong also felt that the chaotic demon qi around him could no longer invade his body. It was completely isolated and could not bring any negative effects to him. Moreover, as long as he wanted to, he could easily control the chaotic demon qi around him and disperse or condense it. The speed was more than twice as fast as before the demon-controlling seal was condensed. Chen Zong could not help but sigh. It was indeed the crystallization of the wisdom of the predecessors. With this demon-controlling seal, even if he went deep into the earth demon abyss, he would not have to worry about being disturbed and eroded by the chaotic demon qi. Chen Zong tried to actively absorb the chaotic demon qi into his body. As soon as the chaotic demon qi entered his body, it was immediately suppressed by the power of the demon-controlling seal. Then, it was expelled from his body and did not cause any harm to Chen Zong. The first form of the demon-controlling seal is so mysterious. I wonder what the second form will be like? Chen Zong could not help but secretly guess, but he could not know because he did not have any information about the second form. Since I have mastered the first form of the demon-controlling seal, I can start to practice the first form of the demon-controlling seal. The first form of the demon-controlling seal was several times more mysterious than the first form of the demon-controlling seal. Naturally, the difficulty of practicing it was also several times higher. However, for Chen Zong, who had mastered the first form of the demon-controlling seal on his own without any guidance, he was full of confidence. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, Chen Zong had been training in the Hidden Dragon Division for a month. In this month, Chen Zong spent most of his time on comprehending and cultivating the demon-controlling seal and the demon-controlling seal. Naturally, he spent less time on other aspects of cultivation. However, this could not be helped. After all, there was only so much time per day, and he could not do anything else. After a month of cultivation, the result was gratifying. The result was that he had mastered the first form of the demon-controlling seal. As for the demon-controlling seal, it was too difficult for Chen Zong to master it. However, it was almost there. Chen Zong estimated that in a few more days, he would be able to master the first form of the demon-controlling seal. Ouyang Zhe had never asked about his cultivation progress. As for the other 11 members, they would occasionally mock Chen Zong. Seeing that Chen Zong did not respond to them, they gradually felt bored and ignored Chen Zong. For a moment, Chen Zong seemed to be isolated by them. Logically speaking, as members of the same team, they should be united. After all, they were schoolmates, just like schoolmates who went to school together. There should be some friendship between them. In the future, when they left the Hidden Dragon tribe and joined other departments of the demon-suppressing army, there should be some friendship between them. Unfortunately, they were not optimistic about Chunzong. They even looked down on Chunzong. They believed that Chunzong would not pass the test and would have to leave the demon-suppressing army in the end. Therefore, they did not want to make friends with Chunzong. It was a waste of time. Chunzong was not the kind of person who would be indifferent to others. He did not care. During this month, the eldest brother was so busy that he could not be seen. In the demon chi cultivation room, Chunzong controlled the chaotic demon chi in the room and quickly condensed it. Demon controlling seal. With a low shout, he made a seal with both hands. As the demon chi surged, a trace of spiritual energy in his body spread to his 10 fingers. It formed a wonderful state of coexistence with the chaotic demon chi around him. It took Chunzong a lot of time and energy to make the spiritual energy and the chaotic demon chi coexist without conflict. After the two forces coexisted, they needed to go back and forth between each other. They needed to connect with each other and connect with each other. Now, Chunzong wanted to complete this step, but he had already failed more than 100 times. Chapter 789. The Soundless Demon Hunt Squad was one of the 30 or so general-grade demon hunt squads in the demon-suppressing fortress. They were ranked 13th among the general-grade demon hunt squads. I wonder how Brother Chen's training is going? Hua Wenqing raised his head to look at the night sky, casually asking. Brother Chen's talent is astonishing. Even if he joined later than the others, he definitely won't fall behind. Hua Wenjun smiled. Regarding Chunzong's entry into the demon-suppressing army's Hidden Dragon Division, Hua Wenjun would be lying if he said he wasn't envious. He was also very moved, but he didn't ask for Chunzong's help. In the end, Chunzong's entry wasn't so simple, and Chunzong didn't have the ability to arrange it for him. If it was possible, Chunzong naturally wanted to arrange for Hua Wenjun and Hua Wenqing to join the demon suppression army. Unfortunately, he couldn't. His eldest senior brother had paid an unknown price for him to be able to join the army. During this time, the two sides kept in contact, but not much. On one hand, Chunzong's training was very tight, and he couldn't wait to use one day as 10. On the other hand, Hua Wenjun and his sister had just joined the Soundless Demon Hunt Squad, and needed to put in more effort to prove their ability. Brother Chen, you are improving, and so am I. I won't fall too far behind you. Hua Wenjun looked at the night sky, secretly saying to himself. He couldn't help but clench his fists. Junior brother, the training time is about to end. Will you be able to pass the test? After Tang Guo finished his business, he raised his head, looking deeply in the direction of the Hidden Dragon Division, talking to himself. He was a bit worried. After all, Chunzong had entered the Hidden Dragon Division 2 months later than the others. It wasn't a long time to begin with, only half a year. The difference of 2 months was very obvious, but Tang Guo still wanted Chunzong to give it a try. After all, if he wanted to enter the demon-suppressing army, it would be better for him to do so as soon as possible. Even if he failed this time, he would at most have to leave the demon-suppressing army and be arranged somewhere else. Relying on his own ability, he could still fight for another chance to retrain his junior brother. Of course, passing the test this time would be the best. Whether he can pass or not, we'll know in a few days. Tang Guo talked to himself, letting go of his worries. In the 35th training room, Ouyang Zhe was expressionless. Everyone, the training will be over in a few days. Ouyang Zhe glanced at Chunzong and ignored him. Although Chunzong came here every day to participate in the training, he never took the initiative to ask. He was treated like heir. You should know the results of your training in the past 6 months. Whether you can pass the assessment in the next few days will depend on your own efforts. There are still a few days left. This is the last chance. This was their last chance, and it was also Ouyang's last chance. This meant that he would be able to get a lot of rewards in the end. Was it a military merit reward? And it was only a merit reward? At the thought of this, Ouyang could not help but glance at Chen Zong, feeling more and more dissatisfied. If he hadn't arranged for this person to come over, perhaps he would have received more rewards. However, because of this person, he definitely wouldn't have been able to obtain any military merit. After all, from the beginning until now, Ouyang had not detected the aura of the demon defending seal from Chen Zong. In other words, Chen Zong hadn't even mastered the first move of the demon defending seal. Since he couldn't master it, why did he look so indifferent all the time? If he had come to beg me, maybe I would have given him some time to teach him. The more Ouyang thought about it, the more upset he felt. The way he looked at Chen Zong was getting colder and colder. Sensing Ouyang's gaze and seeing the disgust in his eyes, Chen Zong's expression did not change at all. If he could master it with his own ability, why should he beg others? Alright, today's training is over. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Ouyang retracted his gaze and turned to leave the training room. How was it? Now you know how difficult it is to master the third seal, right? If I were you, I would leave the demon-suppressing army now, so as not to embarrass myself in the assessment in a few days. Dong Fei, who was the first to master the demon-defending seal in the 35th squad, said to Chen Zong with a mocking smile while rubbing his chin. Brother Dong, he won't appreciate it. Another person also said with a smile. His name was Li Haiming, who had mastered the first move of the demon-defending seal a few days later than Dong Fei. After successfully cultivating the Imperial Demon Seal, the Imperial Demon Seal would enter the body and a trace of aura would spread out. For ordinary cultivators, it was difficult to detect, but for those who had already condensed the Imperial Demon Seal, it was very clear what the aura was. However, they didn't feel the slightest fluctuation of aura of the demon-defending seal from Chen Zong, let alone the demon-suppressing seal and the demon-slaying seal. It also showed that Chen Zong hadn't mastered the demon-defending seal. Without mastering the demon-defending seal, it was impossible to pass the assessment. Chen Zong didn't seem to hear their mockery. He walked out of the training room and went to the Devil Chi cultivation room. Oh, it seems that he still hasn't given up. There are still a few days left. He has to struggle. What if he can master the first move of the demon-defending seal by chance? In the Devil Chi cultivation room, the chaotic Devil Chi was very dense. Chen Zong stood in the chaotic Devil Chi. Soon, 2 balls of black light floated out from his sea of consciousness. The 2 balls of black light were the same size. They floated on the left and the right, and slowly rotated around Chen Zong. One of the balls of black light had runes connected, which vaguely looked like an ancient word, defend. The other ball of black light had runes connected, which looked more complicated. It was a word bind. These were the first moves of the demon-defending seal and the first move of the demon-suppressing seal that Chen Zong had successfully mastered. In the next few days, I must master the first move of the demon-slaying seal, Chen Zong said to himself with great determination. Except for the training time, Chen Zong spent all his time in the Devil Chi cultivation room. He was very hard-working. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. The half-year training in the Hidden Dragon Division was also over. In the Devil Chi cultivation room, 3 balls of black light the size of a child's fist slowly rotated around Chen Zong. The 3rd ball of black light had runes connected to form the word slay. It constantly emitted traces of sharp light, as if it was indestructible. The bell rang like the roar of a dragon, resounding in all directions. Waves of tyrannical aura rose from all over the place. They rushed to the sky, and then quickly gathered in the Hidden Dragon Division. Today was the day of the Hidden Dragon Division's Reserve Sergeant examination. Among the hundreds of reserve sergeants, there would be a batch of qualified people. These people would be assigned to various departments in the 5 armies. The truly outstanding people would often be fought over by the 5 armies. The Hidden Dragon Hall was very large. It could accommodate thousands of people at the same time. It didn't seem crowded at all. Hundreds of reserve sergeants who were going to participate in the examination stood in the hall. Under the guidance of their respective commanders, they were lined up in neat groups. Whoosh, whoosh. Waves of the sound of wind being torn apart resounded out along with this. After that, numerous figures appeared on the seats on the stairs in the surroundings of the hall. Every single figure carried a tyrannical and shocking fluctuation of aura. They were either vigorous, overbearing, blazing, icy cold, or violent. The First Army, Second Army, Third Army, Fourth Army, and Fifth Army. All of them were warlords. The Hidden Dragon Division's Reserve Sergeant examination was indeed very important. However, it wasn't important enough to alert the titled generals. It was enough for the warlords to come. 1 upper-grade warlord, 1 middle-grade warlord, and 1 low-grade warlord were the representatives of the 5 armies of the demon-suppressing army. In other words, each army had sent 3 upper-grade warlords, 3 mid-grade warlords, and 3 low-grade warlords. Their gazes swept across the reserve sergeant. One of them stopped on Chunzong. Chunzong looked over and saw his senior brother, Tanghua. Tanghua frowned slightly because he didn't feel the aura of the Imperial Demon Seal from Chunzong's body. Most of the other preparatory sergeants had the aura of the Imperial Demon Seal, either strong or weak. In other words, Chunzong probably hadn't mastered the seal of defense. Tanghua couldn't help but sigh. Was there still not enough time? Or had he overestimated his junior brother's talent? Today, we'll see the results of the half-year training. The number 1 warlord of the Hidden Dragon Division stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His body seemed to be infinitely tall. His voice was loud and clear like thunder. It rumbled into everyone's ears and went straight to their heads. Even if you deliberately tried not to listen, you would still hear it clearly. The examination is divided into 3 steps. The first step is the knowledge examination. The second step is the seal of defense. The third step is the demon slaying examination. Only by passing these 3 steps can you become a real demon suppression sergeant. Chunzong finally realized that the examination wasn't that simple. One couldn't pass just by mastering the first move of the seal of defense. Now, pay attention. The first step of the knowledge examination begins. As soon as the number 1 warlord of the Hidden Dragon Division finished his words, a buzzing sound suddenly sounded. A magical power emerged from all directions. Then, everyone felt that everything around them was changing rapidly. The others were gone. Only Chunzong was in a quiet room. There was a crystal board on the wall in front of him. The knowledge examination. Chunzong couldn't help but feel that it was interesting. Then, the crystal board changed. A clear figure appeared on it. It was the figure of a demon from the underground. Following the figure, a paragraph of words appeared below it. It clearly described the demon's name, level, and characteristics. As a demon suppression sergeant, the first thing to do was to have enough knowledge about the underground demons and demons. As the saying went, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. If they couldn't understand their enemy, they would be at a disadvantage. In the first step of the knowledge examination, 1,000 questions would appear randomly. All the examinees had to do was to answer them. The examinees couldn't make more than 1/10 of the 1,000 questions. In other words, they couldn't get more than 100 questions wrong. After a few months of study, Chunzong already knew that there were many different kinds of monsters in the underworld. There were tens of thousands of them. As for the underworld demon race, there were fewer of them, but they were much more powerful than the underworld demons. Chunzong had a photographic memory. As long as he had the heart, he wouldn't forget anything. Therefore, this kind of examination wasn't difficult for Chunzong at all. One question after another, Chen Zong answered them easily. If other people knew how fast he was, they would be shocked. Chapter 790. General Tang, I heard that you paid a hefty price to get your junior brother into the Hidden Dragon Division. Gu Emoda, the 9th General of the 3rd Army's Dragon Division, said with a faint smile, "Can your junior brother pass the assessment in 3 months? Or is General Tang prepared to do whatever it takes to get your junior brother into the Demon Suppression Army?" It sounded like a joke between friends, but Tang Gu Ao knew that it was directed at him. This was because Gu Emoda and him weren't friends. On the contrary, there was some animosity between them. The two of them had a conflict before. "Don't worry about it," Tang Gu Ao replied calmly. "One must know one's own limits in order to go further. If one overestimates one's own abilities, then that would be too scary." Gu Emoda said to himself, and the sarcasm in his voice was very obvious. He and Tang Gu Ao were both emperors. Because they were at the same level, it was easier for them to have conflict. Under normal circumstances, no one would be willing to get involved in a conflict between two emperors. It wasn't good to offend either side. Tang Gu Ao didn't respond to Gu Emoda's sarcasm. He looked cold and solemn. The first part of the assessment lasted for 2 hours. Hundreds of preparatory sergeants had to answer 1,000 questions within 2 hours. After half an hour, someone had finished answering the questions. "Who is that?" "Xiao Jinglong from the 8th Squad." "Xiao Jinglong, the genius from the Tsangu's sacred ground." "That's right. Let's see how he performs in the final assessment." While the generals were talking, a second person finished answering 1,000 questions. Mei Luoxiang from the 12th Squad. She's a disciple of the Tianlan sacred ground. A portion of the members of the Demon Suppression Army came from various sects and factions. However, no matter which faction they came from or what kind of background they had to pass the test before they could truly enter the Demon Suppression Army and become a Demon Suppression Sergeant. Like Tang Gua, the most he could do was to let Chen Zong enter the Hidden Dragon Division to participate in the training, but he couldn't directly surpass the Hidden Dragon Division to become a Demon Suppressing Sergeant. Then, the third person passed the assessment. "Who is that?" "Let me see, he's from the 35th Squad. His name is Chen Zong." "General Tang, he's your junior brother, right?" a middle-ranked general from the 4th Army's Dragon Division asked. "Yes." Tang Gua nodded. It wasn't a secret that he had paid a price to get his junior apprentice brother into the Hidden Dragon Division to participate in the training. Basically, all the warlords knew about it. Looks like General Tang's junior brother is pretty good. He was the third to answer all the questions out of hundreds of people. The middle-ranked battle general smiled. Just because the answer is finished doesn't mean the answer is correct. Gu Emoda smiled coldly and interrupted. Since Chen Zong finished answering all the questions in about half an hour, he attracted the attention of the people around him. Time passed slowly. 2 hours had passed. Regardless of whether he had answered all the questions or not, the first step of the examination had been completed. "Congratulations, all of you have passed the test." Xiao Jinglong, Mei Luoxiang, Chen Zong, Jing Jingyang. Among the hundreds of preparatory soldiers, there were more than 20 people who got all of the 1,000 questions right in the first step. "You actually got all of them correct." The 11 members of the 35th Squad found it hard to believe. They had 2 to 3 months more time than Chen Zong. "It's just a knowledge test. So what if you got all of them right? It's useless if you can't practice the demon defending seal." Dong Fei sneered. "Brother Dong is right. The first step of the examination is just the most common one. The key is whether you can practice the demon defending seal." Ouyang Zhe's expression changed slightly. He glanced at Chen Zong again, but he didn't pay too much attention to it. Judging from the previous years, the first step of the examination was the easiest. After all, although there were more than 10,000 kinds of demons in the underground world, every practitioner who had reached the extreme human realm was much more intelligent than ordinary people. Whether it was memory or comprehension, they would have a fundamental improvement. As long as they were willing to put in the time and effort, they would remember everything. Therefore, Tengwa wasn't surprised. This was normal. If he couldn't even pass this test, then he had to redefine his junior apprentice brother's ability. Fortunately, he didn't let him down. Instead, he was a little surprised. But it was just a little surprise. The second step of the examination is the key. 35 squads, starting from the first squad. The first squad of 12 people stepped forward. The other 34 squads stepped aside. The 12 people of the first squad stood at a certain distance from each other. Now, release the demon defending seal that you've formed. Following the voice of the first warrior of the hidden dragon tribe, the 12 people of the first squad made hand seals and summoned the demon defending seal in their mind. Streaks of black light appeared and circled around the heads of the 12 preparatory sergeants. They rotated slowly, and the word defending was engraved on each of the black light balls. The instructor of the first squad showed a touch of joy. All 12 members had formed the demon defending seal, so he would be rewarded for his military exploit. Release the demon defending seal within 3 meters. The first warrior of the hidden dragon tribe suddenly gave an order. Suddenly, out of the 12 members of the first squad, 10 of them quickly dispersed the imperial magic seal, turning it into a mass of jet-black chaotic magic chi that pervaded their bodies, controlling it from spreading. 2 of them seemed to have reacted a step slower. After the imperial magic seal dispersed, the black chaotic magic chi transformed from the imperial magic seal also had a momentum that was difficult to completely control within 3 meters. There was a trace of it that floated 3 meters away. Condense the demon defending seal again. The first warrior said again. The 12 people started to make hand seals. They first condensed the demon defending seal, then condensed the demon defending seal back into a seal. It took time, and they had to do it in front of so many people. In the end, 9 of them were able to condense the demon defending seal again. 1 of them was a little slow, and 2 of them failed at the last moment. The 10 of you passed the examination. The 2 of you didn't pass. Step aside and make other arrangement. The first warrior said directly. He didn't care about their feelings at all. For them, if they passed, they passed. If they didn't, they didn't. No reason or excuse would work, because the vicious underground demons and the cunning underground demons wouldn't listen. 2 people of the first squad had been eliminated. This made the other squads nervous. It could be said that hundreds of preparatory sergeants had already successfully condensed the first form of the demon defending seal. The only difference was how long it took them to master it, and how familiar they were with it. Now, it seemed that those who had condensed the demon defending seal weren't guaranteed to pass the examination. After all, if a person condensed the demon defending seal in the demon chi cultivation room, they wouldn't be distracted and wouldn't be disturbed. They could still do it slowly. If they failed, they could try again. It didn't matter if it happened twice or thrice. But here, under the watchful eyes of so many people, there was only one chance. The feeling was completely different. The result of the second squad's 12 people was even worse. Only 8 of them passed the examination. 4 of them were eliminated and made other arrangements. The third squad's 12 people were up. 9 of them passed the examination. 3 of them were eliminated. The fourth squad's 12 people were up. 5 of them passed the examination. 7 of them were eliminated. One squad after another went through the examination. Seeing batch after batch of people being eliminated, the lower the ranking of the squad, the greater the pressure they felt. This was because it concerned whether they could enter the demon-suppressing army and become a true demon-suppressing sergeant. The 5th squad, the 6th squad, the 7th squad, the 8th squad. Xiao Jinglong, who was the center of attention, formed a seal with one hand. He skillfully condensed the demon-defending talismans and quickly condensed the 9 demon-defending talismans into the demon-defending seal. The whole process was as smooth as flowing water. He was extremely confident and in high spirit. This guy is really good. I heard that this guy used 1.5 months to successfully condense the demon-defending seal. He's really outstanding. There was no doubt that Xiao Jinglong was the center of attention at this moment. The First Army's War Dragon tribe wants this guy. An upper-grade war general from the War Dragon tribe of the First Army said in a domineering tone. Are you kidding? This guy belongs to the Thorny Dragon tribe. The upper-grade war general from the Thorny Dragon tribe of the First Army sneered and started to compete. Among the 5 armies of the demon-suppressing army, the First Army, Second Army, Third Army, Fourth Army, and Fifth Army weren't ranked by strength. They were named according to the order of their establishment. However, the First Army was definitely the oldest. In the beginning, the demon-suppressing army wasn't divided into 5 armies. The chief army commander also directly commanded this army. Therefore, no matter how one looked at it, the First Army was the oldest and most powerful army with the deepest foundation. Seeing that the upper-grade war generals from the Thorny Dragon tribe and the Thorny Dragon tribe of the First Army started to compete for Xiao Jinglong, the other war generals didn't say anything. Firstly, it was difficult to compete with them. Secondly, there were still many people who hadn't been assessed, so there was no need to be so anxious. Xiao Jinglong's performance was amazing. The 8th squad was also very outstanding. All of them passed the assessment and became the first squad to pass the assessment. The instructor of the 8th squad was beaming. This was because the second step of the assessment determined whether one could become a real demon-suppressing sergeant. As for the third step of the assessment, there were other mysteries. After the 8th squad, there were other people who performed well. However, compared to Xiao Jinglong, there was still a gap. In the 12th squad, Mei Luoxiang easily summoned the demon-defending seal in her sea of consciousness. Then, she easily dispersed the demon-defending seal within a 3-meter radius around her. She formed a seal with one hand. Her white hands were like plucking the strings of a zither. It was pleasing to the eye. There was a kind of grandeur that was different from Xiao Jinglong's. Once again, she attracted everyone's attention. However, it was a pity that not everyone in the 12th squad passed the assessment. One of them was eliminated. The 15th squad. The 30th squad. Finally, it was the turn of the last squad. It was the 35th squad that Chen Zong was in. Don't be nervous. Give it your all. Ouyang Zhe transmitted his voice. Each of them took a deep breath and tried hard to calm themselves down. Under the gaze of many people, they strode to the open space in the center of the hall. They lined up neatly in 3 rows and 4 columns. The distance between each person was 5 meters. Chapter 791. That is General Tang's shitty. He has 2 or 3 months less training time than others. Not only does he have less time, I also heard that he is a loner. He never asks for guidance from the hierarch. He only gets the first move of the 3 seals from the hierarch and studies it himself. Without someone to guide him, it is too difficult and time-consuming to comprehend and cultivate by himself. In reality, it was not that he could not master the 3 seals by himself. It just took more time. Half a year was usually shorter. After all, he lacked a foundation. Everything had to start from scratch. He had to slowly learn and accumulate research until he mastered it. Of course, it was not that there were no people in the Demon Suppression Army who could master the first move of the Imperial Demon Seal in half a year with their own ability. They were very, very few. Moreover, if there was someone to guide him, he could save a lot of time that could be used on other aspects of cultivation. It is good to be confident, but if he is too confident, it will become arrogance. Guimoda opened his mouth and criticized Chen Zong. This boy is not only too confident, but also does not know how to be flexible. He does not know how to consult his seniors. He acts on his own, which is not good for the cooperation of the demon suppression army soldiers. It had to be said that Gu Emoda's words hit the nail on the head, criticizing Chen Zong to the point that he was worthless. However, the various characteristics he mentioned, upon careful thought, seemed to be able to be found on Chen Zong. Indeed, Chen Zong did learn the 3 seals by himself, and did not ask the hierarch. But why did Chen Zong not ask the hierarch Ouyang-zhe? Because Ouyang-zhe had said clearly from the beginning that he would not take time out to teach him. Since you said you would not take time out to teach me, I will cultivate and comprehend by myself. Many battle generals frowned. Their impression of Chen Zong dropped a lot. Of course, this was only a preliminary impression. But sometimes, once a preliminary impression was formed, it could easily affect later judgments. Tang Guo frowned slightly and then sent a message to Chen Zong. Shitty, if you have not mastered the Imperial Demon Seal, you can leave for now. I will make arrangements. Chen Zong looked at Tang Guo and nodded at him. He gave Tang Guo a reassuring look. This gaze instantly made Tang Guo feel inexplicably relieved. Under the order of the Hidden Dragon Tribe's number 1 warrior, the 12 members of the 35th Squad immediately called out the demon-resisting seal in their sea of consciousness. Balls of black light circled around their heads. He actually succeeded? Unbelievable! They all stared at Chen Zong with their eyes wide open and their faces full of surprise. Gu Emoda's words had already attracted the attention of all the battle generals to Chen Zong. In the Hidden Dragon Tribe, the members of the 35th Squad would occasionally talk about Chen Zong, and the other squads knew that Chen Zong was an overconfident person. Before this, some people were secretly laughing at Chen Zong for daring to go up and make a fool of himself without mastering the Imperial Magic Seal. Now, seeing that Chen Zong actually summoned the Imperial Magic Seal, the shock brought by the strong contrast was incomparable. Tang Guo's brows relaxed. He could not help but reveal a smile on his face. Immediately, he looked towards Gu Emoda. What General Gu said just now was very good. It seemed to be affirmation, but it also contained a trace of sarcasm, which made Gu Emoda's face turn pale. He had just said that Chen Zong was overconfident, and Chen Zong summoned the Imperial Magic Seal. This was an invisible counterattack, a naked slap in the face. General Tang, for your junior brother to enter the demon-suppressing army, you're really willing to pay any price. Gu Emoda thought for a moment, then he seemed to have thought of something. Once again, he sneered and ridiculed. Tang Guo was stunned for a moment. Gu Emoda's words meant that he had helped Chen Zong to master the Imperial Magic Seal. It was not impossible to help others to master the Imperial Magic Seal, but there were very high requirements. First of all, one had to have a deep understanding of the Imperial Magic Seal. Second, one had to have a strong enough cultivation level. The process could not be disturbed, and it would take a lot of time. All in all, even if it was a profound Sky Realm warrior, it was not easy to help others to master the Imperial Magic Seal. Tang Guo could indeed do that, but it would consume a lot of energy. Of course, he did not care about the consumption, but Chen Zong's pride did not allow him to do it. Why should he let others pay an unnecessary price for something he could do? Hearing Gu Emoda's words, Tang Guo only sneered. This sneer made Gu Emoda feel even more uneasy. The Imperial Magic Seals of the members of the 35th Squad dispersed one after another. Among them, Chen Zong's Imperial Magic Seal dispersed the fastest, and it did not seem abrupt at all. Instead, it dispersed at a uniform speed. Amateurs watched the show and thought it was interesting, but insiders saw the skill. All the generals who were deeply immersed in the Imperial Magic Seal were startled. From this move, they could see some clues. If the Imperial Magic Seal was condensed with the help of others, one would not be able to control it as smoothly as moving clouds and flowing water. But from the way Chen Zong dispersed the Imperial Magic Seal, he obviously could not. The uneasy feeling in Gu Mo's heart grew stronger. Immediately, the chaotic demon aura spread within a 3-meter radius around him. It was completely under Chen Zong's control, and it quickly condensed again. His hands naturally drooped down and did not move. Unlike the other 11 who were forming seals with their hands, the chaotic demon aura around him surged in an instant and divided into 9. What is he trying to do? Condensing a talisman with his mind? This guy is too overconfident. Arrogant, he's really too arrogant. The minimum requirement to cultivate and condense the Imperial Magic Seal was to form seals with both hands. The more powerful ones could form seals with one hand, so that they could use the other hand to do other things. If forming seals with both hands belonged to the lower level, then forming seals with one hand belonged to the middle level. For example, Xiao Jinglong, Mei Luoxiang, and the others from before would not be able to reach this level without several years of hard work. In other words, most of the people in the Demon Suppression Army had reached the level of forming seals with one hand. The upper level was to condense a talisman with one's mind. Whether it was forming seals with one hand or with both hands, the first thing to be condensed was a talisman. Only then could one condense a seal with a talisman. Condensing a talisman with one's mind completely freed one's hands. One could control the chaotic demon aura around with one's mind and spiritual sense, condensing it into a talisman, and then condensing it into a seal. Every warlord was either an emperor or an expert in the profound heavens realm. All of them had been immersed in the Imperial Magic Seal for at least dozens or even hundreds of years. They had all reached the level of condensing a talisman with one's mind. Some of the more advanced ones had already reached the level of condensing a seal with one's mind. They only needed one's mind to condense an Imperial Magic Seal without going through the stage of condensing a talisman. How terrifying was that? However, that was the result of a long period of accumulation and immersion. Just like Chen Zong, how long had it been? In just a few months, he could condense a talisman with one's mind. The first Imperial Magic Seal condensed quickly under Chen Zong's mind. It was very fast, but it was not abrupt at all. It was natural and smooth like moving clouds and flowing water. It was as if it was natural and conformed to some kind of principle. Under everyone's gaze, the first Imperial Magic Seal was successfully condensed. The impact it brought to the warlords was indescribable. After the first Imperial Magic Seal was successfully condensed, the second one began to condense. The third one, the fourth one, the ninth one. Like the rising of the sun and the setting of the moon, like flowers blooming and withering, everything seemed so natural, so harmonious, and full of charm. As for the other 11 members of the 35th Squad, they were directly ignored. No one cared whether their performance was good or bad. Tang Guo's face was full of joy, and his heart was even more excited. Surprise. A great surprise. Originally, he only hoped that his junior brother could condense an Imperial Magic Seal. As long as he condensed an Imperial Magic Seal by himself, it would be fine, regardless of whether he was skilled or not. He did not expect that not only was he so skilled, but he was also so skilled that he could condense a talisman with one's mind. The 9 Imperial Devil Talismans revolved around Chen Zong like the sun, the moon, and the stars. Following Chen Zong's will, the 9 Imperial Devil Talismans moved closer to each other. Then, a ball of black light shot out. When the black light converged, a new Imperial Devil Talisman appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Xiao Jinglong, Mei Luoxiang, and the others were very shocked. They felt that Chen Zong's move was indeed much better than theirs. However, the warlords were even more shocked than them, because they knew more about the practice of the Imperial Magic Seal. As the saying goes, the ignorant are fearless. Only when you know more about it will you understand how amazing it is. My junior brother's temperament is indeed not very good. He's not very sociable. Tang Gua's voice sounded leisurely. He doesn't know how to be flexible and overconfident. General Gu Zhan is right. Gu Emoda's face was livid. When he heard Tang Gua's words, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. The other warlords did not pay attention to him, because they were only shocked in their hearts. In addition to being shocked, they were all thinking quickly. He entered the Hidden Dragon tribe 2 to 3 months later than the others. He did not receive any guidance from others, but he comprehended and practiced with his own ability. He was able to practice the first form of the Imperial Magic Seal to the superb level of using his mind to condense a seal. This kind of talent was unparalleled. Compared to Xiao Jinglong and Mei Luoxiang, who had amazed them before, this kind of talent was much more superior. There was no doubt that this was a genius among geniuses, a top genius. Who wouldn't want such a person? The First Army's War Dragon tribe wants this kid. The upper-grade warlord of the War Dragon tribe of the First Army made the decision. Are you kidding? This kid should join the Second Army. Xiao Jinglong had only caused a fight between the War Dragon tribe of the First Army and the Thorn Dragon tribe, but Chernzong had caused a fight between the 5 armies. Chernzong is General Tang's junior brother. He entered the Hidden Dragon tribe because of General Tang. Naturally, he will join the War Dragon tribe of the 4th Army. The upper-grade warlord of the War Dragon tribe of the 4th Army snorted and said. Instantly, everyone's gaze fell on Tang Gua. General Tang, I've heard of your name for a long time, but I haven't had the chance to meet you because I've been busy. After the assessment, come to my place and we can drink to our heart's content. The upper-grade warlord of the Thorn Dragon tribe of the First Army immediately said with a smile. He was an expert in the 6th level of the Heavenly Profound Realm. Regardless of cultivation or status, he was far superior to Tang Gua. Moreover, he was more arrogant. It was surprising that he would take the initiative to invite Tang Gua. Old fox. Those who had figured it out cursed in their hearts. Soon after, they smiled and looked at Tang Gua. They either invited him or gave him gift. For a moment, they planned to use Tang Gua to recruit Chernzong. Chapter 792. It was like a market. The generals were arguing with each other. Okay, I've reported to the second general. He promised Chernzong a 3rd-grade soldier and a chance to practice on the demon refining platform. The first general of the Dragon Division of the First Army suppressed all the voices. The other generals were shocked. A 3rd-grade soldier. A chance to practice on the demon refining platform. After passing the test, a reserve soldier would become a 1st-grade soldier. If he wanted to increase his grade, he would have to make contributions. Usually, it would take at least 10 years for most people to reach the 3rd grade from a 1st-grade soldier. However, Chernzong was promised a 3rd-grade soldier by the first general, which meant he had saved 10 years of time. The grade of a soldier was not just a number. It also represented the different treatment and status in the Demon Suppression Army. A 3rd-grade soldier was definitely higher than a 2nd-grade soldier. In addition, it was a chance to practice on the Demon Refining Platform. The Demon Refining Platform was a sacred place for cultivation created by the Demon Suppression Emperor, the first general of the army, with a treasure. Anyone who practiced on it would be able to improve his cultivation quickly. However, not everyone had the qualifications to enter and cultivate there. One needed to have sufficient status and contributions. In other words, the First Army had put in a lot of effort to recruit Chernzong. The generals of the other armies started to move. They all sent the information to their titled generals. The competition became more and more intense. In the end, the first titled general said that he would make a decision after all the tests were over. Tang Gua was very excited. Chernzong's ability was amazing. It also meant that the price he had paid was not in vain. There were 420 reserve soldiers in total. All of them passed the first step of the knowledge test. However, 175 people were eliminated in the second step. There were 245 people who passed the test and became real demon suppression soldiers. As for the 175 people who were eliminated, they were not expelled from the demon suppression army. Instead, they were assigned to other places. For example, some of the better ones would be sent to the Dragon Division or somewhere else. You will take the third step of the demon suppression test. As soon as the Hidden Dragon Tribe's first general finished speaking, a black ray of light appeared in the sky. As the 4 generals of the Hidden Dragon Tribe formed hand seals with their hands, the black ray of light instantly extended and tore through the air like a black blade. A black light gate of about 2 meters and 1 meter wide appeared in front of everyone. Enter and kill the demons. You will be ranked according to the strength of the demons you killed. The top 10 will be rewarded. As for what the reward was, he didn't say it clearly. The time limit of the test is 6 hours. Immediately, one figure after another rushed into the portal. In the blink of an eye, all 245 people had entered the portal. The moment Chen Zong stepped in, he heard eldest senior brother's exhortation. The generals did not leave. Instead, they waited. Then, with the black door of light as the center, black round mirrors that were 1 meter in size appeared out of thin air. There were exactly 245 round mirrors. On each of the round mirrors, it was as if a pebble had been dropped into the surface of a calm lake. Layers of ripples spread out, and gradually, some images were reflected. In each round mirror, a figure appeared. It was very clear. At a glance, one could tell that it was the 245 people who had just entered to participate in the third step of the assessment. These round black mirrors were very magical. No matter where you stood, you could see everything clearly without any interference. Ouyang Zhe's face was a little dull because the impact of Chen Zong was too strong. It completely overturned his thoughts and gave him a fierce and invisible counterattack. As for the 7 people of the 35th squad who had been eliminated, they were all ashamed. Who would have thought that the person they looked down upon and even ridiculed would pass the test? This was a strange forest. The black trees grew randomly. Their shapes were strange, their branches were scattered, and their roots were intertwined. They looked like motionless demons. The air was filled with a strong chaotic demon energy, which was much stronger than the chaotic demon energy outside the demon-suppressing fortress. Moreover, the chaotic demon energy drifting in the surroundings was very invasive. It adhered to the skin and constantly seeped into the body through the pores, trying to invade and corrode the body. However, the demon-defending seal in the Sea of Consciousness constantly released its power to completely isolate the chaotic demon energy. It could not disturb Chen Zong at all. If I haven't mastered the demon-defending seal, I can't stay in this place for long, Chen Zong said secretly, and my strength will be affected. Because it was necessary to use one's spiritual energy to resist the invasion of the chaotic demon energy. If one had to use 30% of one's spiritual energy to resist the invasion of the chaotic demon energy, it would affect the performance of one's strength. This was also the disadvantage of practitioners when fighting against underground demons and demons. However, it was different with the demon-defending seal. Suddenly, Chen Zong thought of something else. The demon-suppressing army had the demon-defending seal to resist the interference and erosion of the chaotic demon energy. What about the demon hunters? He didn't know, but he thought that they must have some means. All the people who entered the forest automatically dispersed, and Chen Zong went forward alone. Strange and hoarse sounds like the cries of crows came from the dense forest, which was twisted like demons and made people panic. Chen Zong, on the other hand, was not afraid at all as he walked into the dense forest. The purpose of entering this place was to kill demons. When Chen Zong passed by a strange tree that looked like a coiled python, a black fog rolled out from the hole in the tree. Silently, a black shadow flew out from the black fog. As fast as lightning, as light as the wind, a pair of sharp claws tore the sky apart, and in the next moment, it seemed that it could also tear Chen Zong's body apart. Although there was no sound, Chen Zong felt it the moment the black fog came out, and he relied on his outstanding perception. The sharp sword was unsheathed, and like a purple thunderbolt, it pierced through the air. This sword was called Purple Lightning, and it was given to Chen Zong by his senior brother Tanghua, because the previous red jade sword was damaged. The Purple Lightning sword was also a low-grade spiritual weapon, but it was better than the red jade sword, and it could withstand more power. Its characteristics were different from the red jade sword's heat, and it carried a trace of thunder and lightning power. The sword was very fast, like a purple electric light piercing through the air. The black fog was torn apart, and the sharp claws were also defeated by the purple electric light. One sword counterattack. Soon after, the figure in the black mist fell to the ground. As the black mist dissipated, Chen Zong saw a completely black monkey-like demon struggling to die. Its body slowly faded, turning into wisps of black aura that dissipated. In the end, it left behind a black light the size of a grain of rice that flew towards Chen Zong. At first sight, Chen Zong recognized it. This demon was called the gang-splitting ghost devil monkey, and it was a third-level lower realm underground demon. In terms of level, it was equivalent to a third-level mortal realm fighter, but its actual combat ability was much stronger than a normal third-level mortal realm fighter. The gang-splitting ghost devil monkey's special feature was its pair of huge sharp claws, which could tear apart many hard objects, and could also easily tear apart spiritual power defenses, causing terrible damage. It loved to tear its prey to shreds, and it was fast and explosive. Its weakness was that it lacked strength, but this lack of strength was only relative to other demons of the same level. Compared to extreme mortal realm fighters of the same level, it was not weak at all, and might even be stronger. But to Chen Zong, it was nothing. He could not even launch a sneak attack, and was easily killed. As long as the others were not careless, they would be fine. After all, apart from Chen Zong, the other 245 people were all at least 5th-level mortal realm. There were a total of 20 people who were the focus of attention, and Chen Zong was one of them. But this was just the beginning, and it was hard to tell what was going on. The demons in here were not real demons, but were created by the demon suppression army fighters using the essence of similar demons, and through special means combined with the chaotic demonic energy. Although it was not a real demonic creature, its strength was not inferior to a real demonic creature in this space. The only difference was that after being killed, there would be no flesh left, and if one were to be attacked by them, they would be injured or even killed. There was no such thing as luck. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, a moment had passed. The 245 people entered this small space, and continued to kill demons. Every one of them was very strong. After all, they were all demon hunters, and their subordinates were all stained with the blood of countless demons. General Tang's junior brother, not only does he cultivate the demon suppression seal at an amazing speed, but his attainments in the way of the sword are also very profound. That's right, his attainments in the way of the sword have already surpassed many of his peers. Even most of the seniors are not as good as him. Each of the generals had sharp eyes. Although in their eyes, Chen Zong's cultivation was not high, and his strength was not strong, and they could kill him with a single finger, but the attainments in the way of the sword that he displayed were shocking. Every sword move seemed simple, but it was back to the basics, giving people a feeling that it was natural and extremely wonderful. Moreover, there was no trace of it, as if everything was done according to one's will. This kind of swordsmanship was undoubtedly even more terrifying. This was also after Chen Zong killed the elder of the Spiritual Heart Pavilion and found the swordsmanship of the Spiritual Heart Pavilion in his mustard seed bag, and further perfected the mind swordsmanship. Hearing the praises of the other generals, the smile on Tanghua's face became more obvious. On the contrary, Guemoda's face became uglier. There was no other way. He had mocked Chen Zong many times because of his relationship with Tanghua. Now, Chen Zong's actions were like a slap to his face, and it was burning with pain. Xiao Jinglong's strength is also not bad. I heard that he once killed his way into the 3rd level of the Earth Demon Abyss alone. It's not easy to kill his way into the 3rd level of the Earth Demon Abyss with a cultivation of LV8 Extreme Mortal Realm. The Earth Demon Abyss was divided into 9 levels. The first 3 levels were basically the habitat of ordinary and low-level demonic creatures. The low-level demonic creatures in the 3rd level were all at the 7th, 8th, and 9th level. There were even king-level low-level demonic creatures, which were terrifying demonic creatures comparable to king-level masters. Chapter 793. Zongheng has made a year-end inventory. The 6 Dao will help themselves to some vote. Every account will receive 5 free votes after being verified with a mobile phone. If you vote with a mobile phone, you will receive 7 vote. Please vote for the 6 Dao. The votes are divided into the works and the author. If you want to vote, vote for the author. Roar! It was earth-shattering, and the sound waves were rolling. A gigantic demonic creature that was more than 10 meters tall stretched its head out and roared. Sound waves rushed out from its mouth, creating a terrifying storm. The hard ground was torn apart and sent flying, rolling in the sound waves and turning into powder. This underground monster that looked like a black bear was called the Colossal Arm Demonic Bear. It was more than 10 meters tall, and its body was incomparably strong, like a small hill. Its huge body contained extremely terrifying power, and its magic power was violent. Especially its arms, which were incomparably thick, even thicker than its legs, and its muscles were like cast iron. The giant arm demonic bear was a lower level 9 demonic creature. In terms of level, it was equivalent to a warrior at the extreme level 9 of the mortal realm. However, its combat strength was much stronger than an ordinary warrior at the extreme level 9 of the mortal realm. The giant arm demonic bear's roar was extremely terrifying, and it swept out like a strong storm. In front of it there was a figure. It was Xiao Jinglong. Xiao Jinglong's expression was cold, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Facing the giant arm demonic bear's sound waves, he was not afraid at all. He directly punched out. His spiritual power fluctuated and turned into a powerful and domineering righteous strength. The righteous strength was like a dragon dominating the world. As the punch blasted out, the righteous strength shattered the sound waves that were coming at him, and it blasted towards the giant arm demonic bear like a hot knife through butter. Xiao Jinglong was the first one to encounter a lower level 9 demonic creature, and the demon suppression sergeants were well aware of the giant arm demonic bear's ferocity. Therefore, many people's attention was attracted to see how Xiao Jinglong would deal with this giant arm demonic bear. When the giant arm demonic bear went berserk, its strength was terrifying. One punch from it was enough to turn a extreme level 9 of the mortal realm into pieces. Xiao Jinglong was indeed not weak. He had cultivated a supreme grade spiritual skill and was extremely powerful. However, he was only at extreme mortal realm level 8, which was 1 level lower than the giant arm demonic bear. The giant arm demonic bear's strength was unparalleled, but in terms of speed, it was slightly lacking. Instantly, Xiao Jinglong's dragon-like fist energy hit its chest. With a loud bang, the fist energy began to shatter, but the giant arm demonic bear's huge body only shook slightly. Immediately after, the giant arm's demonic bear waved its arm and clenched it into a fist. Large veins bulged on its thick arm like a python turning over. With a loud boom, it was incomparably violent. It was as if a mountain had collapsed and the earth had cracked. The black fist was like a huge black meteorite, blasting through the air. Everywhere it passed, the air shook like huge waves. It was as if the sky was collapsing. Everything disappeared in Xiao Jinglong's eyes. There was only a ring of black light that was expanding and closing in on him with a terrifying pressure. That kind of ferocious and domineering aura alone made it difficult for him to breathe. Previously, when Xiao Jinglong entered the third level of the Earth Demon Abyss, he had also encountered the giant-armed demonic bear. However, his strength then was not as strong as it was now. After a short fight, he realized that he was no match for the giant-armed demonic bear and immediately used his body movement to escape. Thinking about it, he still had lingering fears. He did not expect to meet the giant-armed demonic bear here again. However, this time, he would definitely not escape. With incomparable determination, his eyes shone with a terrifying light. Xiao Jinglong suddenly roared and a powerful aura exploded from his body like a wave. Mad Dragon explodes the sky. Spiritual energy surged and turned into a dragon-shaped righteous force that surrounded his right arm. His right arm swelled and his muscles bulged as if they were filled with air, causing the sleeves of his robe to be torn apart. With a dragon's roar, an extremely terrifying force was blasted out by Xiao Jinglong's fist. It turned into a mad dragon that rumbled and shattered the sky. This blow seemed to be able to shatter a mountain. With a loud bang, the momentum was astonishing. Everyone in the hall seemed to be able to hear the sound reverberating in their ears. However, in reality, they could not hear anything. The dragon-shaped chi of the mad dragon explodes the sky was shattered in an instant. The giant-armed demonic bear's fist only paused for a moment before it blasted out with irresistible force. The impact of the fist made Xiao Jinglong's face suddenly change. This kind of power was too tyrannical and completely surpassed his own. Retreat! Without any hesitation, Xiao Jinglong's body shook and twisted like a dragon to escape from the fist pressure. He then quickly retreated. With a loud bang, the black fist force was like a falling meteor. It shattered the afterimage left by Xiao Jinglong and then blasted the ground. A few meters high wave of earth rolled out and in the blink of an eye, a 10-meter deep pit was formed. It was a shocking sight. The ground here was very hard and was even harder than refined steel. However, the giant-armed demonic bear could easily create a 10-meter deep pit. Xiao Jinglong could not help but gasp and his eyelids unconsciously trembled. "I don't believe that I can't kill you today." Xiao Jinglong was ruthless. In the third level of the Earth Demon Abyss, his strength was not as strong as it was now. It was fine if he ran away, but now, was he going to run away again? Was he going to run away the next time he encountered the giant-armed demonic bear? Absolutely. After retreating again and putting a certain distance between him and the giant-armed demonic bear, Xiao Jinglong took a deep breath and the chaotic demonic chi around him fluctuated. Immediately, a ball of black light flew out from Xiao Jinglong's sea of consciousness and circled around him. What is he going to do? Someone was puzzled. It could be seen that although Xiao Jinglong's strength was not weak, it would be difficult for him to defeat the giant-armed demonic bear. Now, they also saw that Xiao Jinglong had summoned the Imperial Demon Seal. Using the Imperial Demon Seal to deal with the giant-armed demonic bear? How? The main function of the Imperial Demon Seal was to prevent the interference and erosion of the chaotic demonic chi, and to increase the control of the chaotic demonic chi around the body. Immediately, Xiao Jinglong's hands moved rapidly and his 10 fingers flicked as if a lotus was blooming. That is he going to outside? Those who were familiar with the set of handprints were surprised. Xiao Jinglong's face became more dignified and sweat appeared on his forehead. His 10 fingers moved faster and faster, constantly condensing talisman seals. The giant-armed demonic bear strode forward and closed in. Bang! 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 Every step it took left a deep footprint on the hard ground. Its huge body and powerful strength caused the ground to shake continuously. The stones seemed to be dancing as they fell and fell. As it closed in, the pressure on Xiao Jinglong increased. Imperial Demon Seal. When the last talisman seal was completed, Xiao Jinglong shouted. Immediately, the surrounding talisman seals gathered at the center and Xiao Jinglong's hands were trembling. Black light instantly burst out and it was incomparably intense. After the black light passed, a ball of black light was suspended in the air. The runes on it formed a very complicated character, and it was constantly flashing with silver-white light. The connection was intermittent and it seemed like it would collapse at any time. Bind. Xiao Jinglong pointed with one hand, and it was as if he was pushing an invisible mountain. The Imperial Demon Seal slowly floated towards the giant armed demonic bear. The giant armed demonic bear did not recognize what it was, and it threw out a punch. With a bang, the Imperial Demon Seal exploded and turned into black chains that were as thick as an arm. Each chain was branded with silver-white runes, and they were like spiritual snakes. They quickly shuttled through the void and wrapped around the giant armed demonic bear. The chains wrapped around the gigantic arms demonic bear's body one by one, wrapping its huge body and thick arms together. The giant armed demonic bear struggled in the beginning, and it almost broke the chains. However, as more and more chains wrapped around it, the giant armed demonic bear's struggle became weaker and weaker. Roar! The giant armed demonic bear went berserk. Its huge body seemed to have expanded and a terrifying aura rushed out. Its body was constantly moving and it was trying to break free from the chains. The silver-white runes on the chains were flashing crazily. It's a success. Xiao Jinglong was also surprised because he had also tried to condense the Imperial Demon Seal on the last day of the assessment and he had failed. Otherwise, he would have stored it in his sea of consciousness and there would be no need to go through so much trouble. Originally, he just wanted to give it a try and he did not expect to succeed. Kill! Taking advantage of this opportunity, the giant armed demonic bear was unable to move. However, Xiao Jinglong knew that the Imperial Demon Seal would not be able to trap it for long and it would break free soon. The tyrannical spiritual energy turned into an overbearing supreme force and it instantly flowed through his body. With a bang, a deep pit was formed on the ground. Xiao Jinglong rushed out like a meteor and approached the giant armed demonic bear's head. His fists were like dragons coming out of the abyss, and they were extremely violent and overbearing. Boom! 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 The dragon-like fist force continuously bombarded the giant armed demonic bear's head. Xiao Jinglong believed that the giant armed demonic bear would definitely be killed by his fists. However, the giant armed demonic bear was getting more and more berserk. With a bang, one of the Imperial Demon Seal chains broke. Bang! 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 As the chains broke one after another, the giant armed demonic bear's body seemed to have expanded and become even more terrifying. Its scarlet eyes seemed to be dripping blood. Roar! His sturdy arms waved, creating a terrifying storm. The heavy air pressure made Xiao Jinglong feel like he was being torn apart. It was as if a heavenly pillar was collapsing. He felt like he was about to be crushed. Shadowless illusory dragon. In the face of danger, Xiao Jinglong immediately used his movement technique. He left behind an afterimage that was shattered and his real body appeared below. After quickly falling, he stomped on the ground and escaped at the fastest speed. Xiao Jinglong was unwilling and helpless. He knew that his current strength was indeed stronger than before, but he was still unable to defeat the giant armed demonic bear. In the end, the giant armed demonic bear's strength could be ranked in the top 10 among the low-level demonic creatures. Although he is not a match for the giant armed demonic bear, he can actually condense the Imperial Demon Seal. It is indeed very good. A warlord could not help but laugh. The warlords did not feel that Xiao Jinglong was not a match for the giant armed demonic bear. The giant armed demonic bear's bloodline was not ordinary and its strength was indeed very strong. It could be ranked in the top 10 among the low-level demonic creatures, ranked 9th. If Xiao Jinglong's cultivation could reach the 9th level of the extreme mortal realm, He could definitely fight with the giant armed demonic bear, and even defeat it. Unfortunately, he did not. In this small space, there was only one giant armed demonic bear. What really surprised the warlords was that Xiao Jinglong was able to break through under pressure and condense the Imperial Demon Seal. Although it was not very stable, it meant that Xiao Jinglong had superior talent. The warlords' thoughts became active again. They gradually shifted their attention from Chen Zong to Xiao Jinglong. Chapter 794. In the round mirror, the scene was clearly displayed so that everyone in the hall could see it clearly. In the small space of the demonic realm, a young man in a black robe with a pale face and scarlet lips was staring at a powerful demonic creature that was approaching from a few hundred meters away. That demonic creature was a sawtooth-winged demon, a flying demonic creature. Its entire body was black and its wings were filled with sawtooth. It was incomparably sharp and could easily cut through hard objects. Its flying speed was very fast, and it liked to throw its prey into the air before using its wings to cut it into pieces. It was a low-level 7 demonic creature. Bind! A black light suddenly spread out from his sea of consciousness. It was a demon binding seal. This kid has already mastered the demon binding seal. Too shocking. I sensed it before, but the aura was too weak. He must have used some method to cover it up. I didn't expect him to really master it. It's fine if you don't make a sound, but when you do, you amaze the world. The battle generals were all shocked. They thought Xiao Jinglong was outstanding enough, but there was a Chernzong. Then they discovered that Xiao Jinglong was indeed outstanding. They didn't expect someone else to change their point of view. This kid is called Bian Wuxia. His first test was average, but the second test was not bad. I didn't expect him to master the demon binding seal. The battle general's attention was completely focused on Bian Wuxia. The others were temporarily ignored. The demon binding seal instantly emitted a black light and disintegrated. Chains as thick as an arm with flickering silver-white runes flew out, shuttling back and forth in all directions. They quickly spread out, as if they were weaving a net, rapidly pushing forward. The sawtooth-winged demon's speed was extremely fast. It covered a few hundred meters in an instant. In an instant, the sawtooth-winged demon fell into the demon-binding chain. It was quickly entangled and fell down. The sawtooth-winged demon let out an ear-piercing scream as it struggled to break free from the demon-binding chain. Die! Bian Wuxia's voice was cold and low, like a cold wind blowing past. Bian Wuxia's figure disappeared, and in the next breath, a shadow flashed beside the sawtooth-winged demon. A black light flashed, like a bolt of lightning that could tear apart the heavens and earth. It pierced into the eye of the sawtooth-winged demon, twisting viciously. The terrifying impact caused the sawtooth-winged demon's body to tremble violently. It slowly faded and finally transformed into a black light that flew towards Bian Wuxia. Bian Wuxia was at the extreme mortal realm stage 6, one level lower than the sawtooth-winged demon, but he could easily kill it. Of course, it was because of the demon binding seal, but it also showed that he was powerful. Good, Bian Wuxia is suitable for our Thorn Dragon tribe. The Thorn Dragon tribe of the First Army was a demon. The fighting style of the demon-suppressing sergeants of the Thorn Dragon tribe had always been nimble and unpredictable. He liked Bian Wuxia very much. There is a Xiao Jinglong, a Bian Wuxia, and perhaps a third person who has mastered the devil binding seal. Bian Wuxia's demon's demon binding seal. One of the generals suddenly said. The other generals paused for a moment and thought that it was possible. I don't think that's possible. Firstly, Chernzong's time is 2 to 3 months less than the others. Secondly, he's so proficient in the Imperial Devil Seal. He should have spent all his time cultivating the Imperial Devil Seal. That's true. Gu Mo Da had learned his lesson this time. He didn't say anything and just sneered secretly. Another demonic creature was killed by his sword. So far, Chen Zong had killed 13 demonic creatures of the Third Order, 15 demonic creatures of the Fourth Order, 8 demonic creatures of the Fifth Order, and 3 demonic creatures of the Sixth Order. The fact that Chen Zong was able to kill 3 low-grade 6th-level demons shocked everyone. This was because Chen Zong's cultivation level was at the late stage of the 4th level of the mortal realm. In the past few months in the Hidden Dragon tribe, Chen Zong had spent most of his time on the third seal. The rest of his time was spent on cultivating his spiritual power. He had also made a breakthrough from the mid-level to the late mortal realm stage after absorbing the mid-level spiritual source. It was indeed a huge leap for a 4th-tier human realm warrior to kill a 6th-level lower-grade demon. General Tang, your junior brother is amazing. One of the generals sighed. My junior brother also cultivates the way of body strengthening. Tang Guo smiled. The way of body strengthening belongs to the ancient way of cultivation. It is gradually lost. Your junior brother is very lucky to be able to cultivate the way of body strengthening. One of the generals smiled. Cultivating the way of body strengthening would naturally make one stronger. It was a reasonable explanation for Chen Zong's ability to kill enemies that were above his level. At this moment, Chen Zong encountered a claw terror. The name was simple, but it wasn't simple at all. This demon with short legs had a pair of huge claws that were half the size of its body. Each of the claws was almost a meter long, like a ferocious machete. A low-level 7 demon. Suddenly, everyone stared at Chen Zong through the round mirror. Although Chen Zong, who was at the 4th mortal realm, had cultivated the way of body strengthening and was stronger, could he defeat a low-level 7 claw terror? There was a gap of 3 levels between them, and his opponent was a demon. A claw terror. At first glance, Chen Zong recognized the other party. His eyes focused on the pair of huge, sharp claws, and he was secretly shocked. The claw terror's claws were not only huge, but also terrifyingly powerful. They could tear the sky, the earth, and the air apart. Demon hunters or demon suppression sergeants would often chop off the demon's claws after killing it. All the information about the claw terror flashed through his mind. The claw terror roared and rushed toward Chen Zong with its huge claws. Although its legs were short, it wasn't slow at all. As it approached quickly, its huge claws tore the air apart, leaving a few clear claw marks. Chen Zong's eyes narrowed slightly as his mind spun rapidly. In an instant, many thoughts flashed through his mind. A low-level 7 demon was even stronger than a 7th mortal realm warrior, who cultivated an upper-level spiritual skill. However, this kind of strength was nothing to him. He could kill it with one strike. However, Chen Zong wanted to try other methods, such as the demon binding seal and the demon slaying seal. Before entering this place, the eldest senior brother had told him to show his strength as much as possible, which would be beneficial to him. Then, the 3 seals cultivated by the Hidden Dragon tribe would be the best way to show his strength. The demons before were too weak, so there was no need to use them. This low-level 7 demon was not bad, so he could give it a try. The strength of the demon binding seal and the demon slaying seal was not only related to one's cultivation level, but also to one's own cultivation level. As the claw terror approached Chen Zong seemed to be scared out of his wit. Under the gazes of the people outside, Chen Zong suddenly pointed his finger and shouted, "Bind!" As soon as he finished speaking, a strong black light appeared on Chen Zong's arm. It was as if there were black spiritual snakes slithering out from his arm, passing through his fingers and shooting forward. It was a chain as thick as a finger. Although it was not thick, it gave people a feeling that it was extremely condensed. There were silver-white talisman characters on it. The talisman characters glowed with a natural light. The chain was like a spirit snake or a flying dragon. In the blink of an eye, it had wrapped around the claw terror demon. The chains moved at lightning speed, shuttling back and forth from top to bottom, left to right. In an instant, the Claw Terror Demon was bound and could not move. This, one by one, the warlords stood up, their faces full of horror. So did Tanguo. It was too shocking, too shocking. This level is obviously very high, one of the warlords muttered to himself. General E mumbled to himself, a bit absent-minded. He thought back to when he was young. To cultivate the demon binding seal to this level, he had spent dozens of years. It really was infuriating to compare oneself to others. Warlord Tang, your junior brother has never cultivated the 3 seals before. One of the warlords could not help but doubt. This kind of cultivation speed was simply too shocking. No. Tanguo replied in a firm tone, my junior brother came from a small island and came to the mainland 2 years ago to join my Tai Yuan Sky sect. The other generals nodded in agreement. The 3 seals were the inheritance of the Demon Suppression Army, and they had been strictly ordered not to spread it. Those who violated the rules would be severely punished, and the consequences would be severe. Furthermore, due to other reasons, no one would spread the 3 seals. If they wanted to learn it, they could do so, as long as they joined the Demon Suppression Army. Joining the Demon Suppression Army did not require you to leave your original sect. It would not be affected. In just 3 months, not only did he cultivate the first move of the Demon Suppression Seal to the Talisman Realm, but he also cultivated the Demon Binding Seal to the point where he can use it like an extension of his arm. Ouyang Zhe was so shocked that his body was numb. As for the members of the 35th Squad who were eliminated, their faces were ashen. Under the pressure, Xiao Jinglong made a seal with both hands and succeeded in the end. That was the lowest level of the Demon Binding Seal. Bian Wuxia had already finished condensing the Demon Binding Seal and stored it in his Sea of Consciousness. When he needed to summon it, it belonged to the middle level. Chen Zong did not need to summon the Demon Binding Seal, but he could use the power of the Demon Binding Seal, which belonged to the upper level. Moreover, Chen Zong's Demon Binding Chain was thinner, which meant that the power in it was more condensed. After the Demon Binding Chain bound the Demon Claw, Chen Zong did not immediately kill the Demon Claw. Instead, he stood in place and observed. The Demon Claw kept struggling, and the silver light on the Demon Binding Chain kept flashing. A terrifying aura erupted, and the Demon Chi kept roaring. With a bang, the Demon Binding Chain broke one by one. 3 breath. Chen Zong said secretly, with my current cultivation, I can only use the Demon Binding Seal to bind a low-level 7th rank demon for 3 breaths. If it was a low-level 8th rank demon, I wonder how long it would take? 3 breaths was actually not a short time, but for Chen Zong, it was not much help. After all, Chen Zong's strength was so strong that he could kill a low-level 7th rank demon with one strike. After breaking the Demon Binding Chain, the Demon Claw broke free, and its giant claw glowed with a terrifying black light. It fiercely broke through the air and attacked Chen Zong. The chilly wind roared, and the sky was torn apart like a piece of cloth. Swish! Everyone only saw Chen Zong's figure being covered and swallowed by the giant claw glowing with black light. In an instant, a dazzling purple light flashed, like a purple thunderbolt tearing the darkness, vividly illustrating the sharpness of the attack. Chapter 795. The test in the small space of the demonic realm lasted for 6 hours. As time passed, 4 hours had already passed. It seems that only Xiao Jinglong, Bian Wuxia, Mei Luoxiang, and Chen Zong have mastered the Demon Binding Seal. Among them, Chen Zong has the most profound mastery, followed by Bian Wuxia. Xiao Jinglong and Mei Luoxiang are on par. Other than his lower cultivation level, Chen Zong is the most outstanding in all other aspects. The battle general's thoughts spun rapidly as they analyzed the situation clearly. Tanguo's heart was filled with joy. He had originally thought highly of Chen Zong's ability, but he did not expect that it would be completely out of his expectations. Bind. Chernzong's left index finger pointed forward. Demon binding chains that were as thick as fingers flashed with silver-white runes like dragons and snakes in the dim air. They were extremely fast as they shot towards the nimble figure in front of him. That figure, however, turned into a series of afterimages. It was difficult to distinguish between the real and the fake as it dodged the demon binding chains. But under Chernzong's control, the demon binding chains were also extremely agile. They constantly changed in the air and flew towards the real body that Chernzong had locked onto, binding it. In the blink of an eye, that figure was bound. But in just half a breath's time, the demon binding chains broke one by one. That figure moved horizontally with incomparable speed. A flash of purple lightning with astonishing sharpness pierced through the afterimages. With a whoosh, a flash of black light bloomed in the air and grabbed towards Chernzong's ribs with astonishing coldness and strangeness. Before the black light arrived, that kind of cold aura had already caused Chernzong's body to involuntarily tremble. Threads of terrifying and ferocious demonic aura that was purer than the chaotic demonic aura attempted to invade his body. Fortunately, he had the protection of the demon-resisting seal. When fighting with demons, other than being disturbed and corroded by the chaotic demonic aura in the air, one would also be affected by the demonic aura of the demons themselves. The demonic aura of the demons was refined by absorbing the chaotic demonic aura. It was purer and more powerful. If one was hit, the power of the demonic aura's corrosion was obviously stronger than the chaotic demonic aura. The greatest effect of the demon-resisting seal was to resist corrosion. The corrosion of the chaotic demonic aura, the demonic aura of demons, and the demonic aura of the demons. Of course, the power of the demon-resisting seal was limited. It could only completely resist the corrosion of the chaotic demonic aura and weaken the demonic aura's influence. Mystic Heart? Everlasting Heart. Chernzong's figure transformed into countless phantoms. Every single one of them seemed to move according to his will. There was no pattern to be found, and they became increasingly agile and ethereal. The demonic aura level demonic aura was a demonic aura a demonic aura. A demonic aura a demonic aura. This was a lower rank 8 phantom fiend. It wasn't very fast and wasn't very strong, but it had the advantage of being able to form phantoms that were indistinguishable from real ones. Demonic aura demonic auras, demonic aura of the aura's aura a demonic aura of the demonic aura. At the same time, demonic illusion also had a hard time hitting Chernzong, because Chernzong's everlasting illusion was also incomparably profound. With my cultivation of spiritual power, the demon-binding seal can only bind a low-level 8th rank demon for half a second, Chernzong said to himself as he fought against the phantom demon. The phantom devil's spiritual energy wasn't considered strong among the low-level 8 demonic beasts. If it was a powerful low-level 8 demonic beast, the demon-binding seal wouldn't even last for half a breath. Half a breath's time was short, but it was enough for Chernzong to make a fatal strike. However, the phantom demon dodged it. The battle generals stared at the battle between Chernzong and the phantom demon and felt a little numb. He was only at the 4th tier of the mortal realm, but he was able to go head-to-head with a demon of the 8th tier of the lower realm. We shouldn't waste too much time with them. Kill them as soon as possible. Chernzong thought to himself. Time was limited. Otherwise, this phantom demon would have been a good target to hone his movement technique. I'll let you have a taste of my newly created sword. With a thought, the ever-changing figure suddenly stopped. All the phantoms disappeared, leaving only Chernzong standing in the same place. He looked so real that it was as if he was about to emerge from the shadows. At this moment, only he and his sword existed. With the purple flash sword in his hand, the body of the sword trembled slightly, with traces of purple electric arcs jumping on it. In his mind, there seemed to be streaks of sword radiance slashing across. Each streak of sword radiance seemed to be able to split the sky open, leaving behind streaks of cracks. I used splitting sky as the source. Heart sword principle as the foundation to create this sword. Its name is Scar of Heaven. One day, this sword will split the sky open, leaving behind an everlasting scar. The sword struck out. The purple sword radiance suddenly lost all its violence and became docile, like the surface of a still sea. But deep down, there was a turbulent undercurrent. This sword contained an unparalleled power. It gathered all of Chen Zong's strength and the comprehension of Chen Zong's sword principle. The purple radiance looked plain, but it was extremely dazzling and shocking. People only saw a flash in front of their eyes. There was no sword, only a streak of purple radiance as thick as a chopstick. It seemed to have no end as it traversed the sky. Then, like a purple brush on a white paper, it left a clear trace. This purple slash gave people a very ordinary feeling, but it was also very shocking. Not only did it slash across the sky, but it also slashed across Phantom Demon's real body. Heart sword. Scar of Heaven. With one sword, Phantom Demon was dead. Chen Zong exhaled. This was the first time he had used Scar of Heaven. Scar of Heaven was the move Chen Zong created when he was attacked by the mad tiger of the three tigers of Wanzhong. Under great pressure, he used all of his strength to break out. After entering the hidden dragon tribe, he practiced the three seals every day and organized it a little. He combined the heart sword principle with the foundation of splitting sky to create this move. Heart sword basic move. Heart sword questioning heart. Heart sword Scar of Heaven. The basic move was only the foundation. Questioning heart was the first step. It did not focus on lethality, but on one's heart. This move was actually Chen Zong's inquiry of his own heart. The Scar of Heavens was a sword that was truly full of destructive power, because it was born out of the space splitter. It could even split the sky and leave an immortal mark. How could it be done without enough lethality? It seemed like a long time, but it was only a few breaths. Phantom Demon dissipated, leaving behind a bit of black radiance. The purple trace faded quickly and disappeared. In the end, it was still impossible to achieve immortality. But this was just the beginning. Seeing Chen Zong kill a Phantom Demon of lower rank 8 with one sword move, the warlords were all dumbfounded. Chen Zong put away the black radiance left by Phantom Demon and continued to look for monsters to kill. Most of the monsters here moved alone. It was difficult to encounter more than 2 monsters at the same time, but Chen Zong encountered one. He was lucky. And this monster was a very famous Twin Demon. Twin Demon was a monster of lower rank 8. Its bloodline was extraordinary. It could fuse into 1 or into 2. Regardless of whether it fused into 1 or into 2, it had the strength of a lower rank 8. The Twin Demon that had split into 2 charged at Chen Zong, leaving behind a series of afterimages. Demonic chi surged like a tide, bringing an intense sense of danger to Chen Zong. Chen Zong's expression was cold and solemn. With the purple lightning sword in hand, he instantly stabbed out, turning into 2 purple sword radiances that pierced through the sky. However, the Twin Demon's strength after splitting into 2 was much stronger than the Phantom Demon. Although Chen Zong was not weak, he gradually fell into a disadvantage in a 1 versus 2 battle. This kind of battle was the most worrying. They all stared at Chen Zong to see how he would deal with it. Would he counterattack? Or would he escape? If he encountered a monster like the giant-armed demonic bear, he might be able to escape with his extraordinary speed. After all, although the giant-armed demonic bear was tyrannical, its strength lay in its unparalleled strength. Speed was its shortcoming. Suddenly, Chen Zong felt the countdown. It appeared very abruptly, but didn't disturb him. It was to let him know that the 6 hours were almost up. Since it's like this. Chen Zong's eyes flashed with determination. Let's give it a try. I don't know if I can succeed, but I have to try. Bind. 2 demon binding chains shot out from his 2 fingers at the same time. They quickly flew towards the twin demons' 2 bodies. But although the demon binding chains were fast, the twin demons' reactions were even faster. They quickly dodged and attacked. Under Chen Zong's precise control, the demon binding chains snaked and approached at a fast speed, following closely behind. Those monsters with fast and nimble bodies would often be able to dodge the demon binding seals' bindings better. Whether they could be bound or not depended on one's mastery of the demon binding seals. Under the pursuit, the twin demon was finally caught up by the demon binding chains and bound. However, the twin demon's strength was even more tyrannical than the phantom demons. The demon binding chains couldn't hold on for even half a breath, but this little bit of time was something that Chen Zong needed to fight for. The moment the demon binding chains bound the twin demon's body, a ball of black light flew out from Chen Zong's sea of consciousness. Ancient and mysterious characters flickered on the black light, instantly causing the general's eyes to widen and their bodies to stiffen. Slash, slash. A mid-ranked general pointed at the small ball of black light with a trembling finger, unable to utter a complete sentence. Shocked? Shocked. Incomparably shocked. With a bang, the black light instantly exploded and turned into a ball of black water that poured onto the purple lightning sword. It quickly covered the purple lightning sword, causing it to turn completely black. The black light flowed like water, and traces of a mysterious aura spread out. Slash! The sword slashed out. Will sword, scar of heaven. A black sword mark as thick as a chopstick streaked across the sky, leaving behind an endless black sword mark. The twin demon had just broken free from the demon binding chains and was unable to dodge the sword. As the sword slashed through, a black mark appeared on its body and it was split into 2. Its body quickly dissipated, leaving behind only a dot of black light. That's right. Although the twin demon could split into 2 after death, it would only leave behind a dot of black light because they were originally 1. The moment he put away the black light, the scene in front of him started to shake. It was as if water was rippling. Chen Zong knew that the time was up. The small space of the demonic realm was about to close. A repulsive force directly landed on him. Chapter 796. The mirrors shrank, faded, and disappeared one after another. Figures appeared in the hall one after another, surrounded by a strong murderous aura. They had just left the small space of the demonic territory and had just escaped from the massacre. Unfortunately, 15 of you have died. The voice of the first general of the hidden dragon tribe was as cold as the winter snow. You must remember that demons are cruel. There is no chance of survival when facing them. Everyone was shocked. 15 of them had died. For 245 people, 15 might not be a big proportion, but this was only a test. Even the test was so dangerous. What would happen if they really entered the Earth Demon Abyss? Then, they were asked to release the black light spots they obtained after killing the demons. They were ranked according to the size of the light spots. A black light spot for a first-rank demon was 1 point. A black light spot for a second-rank demon was 5 points. That was a 5 times increase. Soon, the ranking of the top 10 was out. Number 10. Wang Wenqi, 1000 merit points, 1 essence demon elemental elixir. Number 9. Zhan Honghu, 2000 merit points, 2 essence demon elemental elixirs. Number 8. Bian Wuxie, 3000 merit points, 3 essence demon elemental elixirs. Number 7. Fu Qingling, 4000 merit points, 4 essence demon elemental elixirs. Number 6. Lin Chao, 5000 merit points, 5 essence demon elemental elixirs. Number 5. Chen Zong, 6000 merit points, 6 essence demon elemental elixirs. Many people were surprised to hear that Chen Zong was number 5. The test of killing demons in the small space of the demonic territory had nothing to do with talent. The most important thing was one's strength. Chen Zong's cultivation was not high. He was the lowest among all the candidates, only at the 4th tier of the mortal realm. Although he was not weak, there was still a gap between him and those who were at the 8th or 9th tier of the mortal realm. Among the 200 candidates, there were more than 10 who were at the 8th or 9th tier of the mortal realm. But Chen Zong was number 5, which was shocking. Number 4. Yuan Hanzhong, 7,000 merit points, 7 essence demon elemental elixirs. 3rd place. Mei Luoxiang. Reward. 8,000 contribution points, 8 essence devil elemental pills, and rank 2 soldier. Everyone was shocked again. Other than the merit points and essence demon energy pill, the 3rd place also had an additional reward of a 2nd grade soldier. This meant that Mei Luoxiang's military rank was directly promoted from 1st grade to 2nd grade. 2nd place. Xiao Jinglong. Reward. 9,000 contribution points, 9 essence devil elemental pills, 2nd grade soldier. 1st place. Yan Jingming. Reward. 10,000 contribution points, 10 essence devil elemental pills, 2nd grade soldier. The reward will be given to you after you join the 5 armies. 1,000 or even 10,000 merit points were nothing to most people. After all, they were all experienced demon hunters. However, the Essence Demon Energy Core was not bad. The biggest reward was the top 3, rank 2 sergeant. To be promoted from a 1st grade sergeant to a 2nd grade sergeant required 5 9th grade military merits, which usually required several years of hard work. Then, it was time to decide where these people would belong to. Whether they would join the 1st Army, 2nd Army, 3rd Army, 4th Army, or even 5th Army, and which department they would belong to after joining. Would they belong to the War Dragon Tribe, the Thorn Dragon Tribe, or the Hidden Dragon Tribe, etc.? The others were easy to arrange, and there was no need to ask for their opinions. They could only agree. However, the top 10 were more popular and fought over. The War Dragon Tribe of the 1st Army only wants Chen Zong. You can have the rest, a high-grade war general from the War Dragon Tribe of the 1st Army said again. The Thorn Dragon Tribe also only wants Chen Zong. One person spoke, and the others followed suit. A new round of fighting began. For a moment, many people's eyes fell on Chen Zong. Chen Zong also felt helpless. Some of these people were envious while others were jealous. Why wasn't he the one being fought over? Our army can give Chen Zong, a 3rd grade soldier, a chance to enter the devil refining platform. He's only a 3rd grade soldier. Our army can also give him 2 chances to enter the devil refining platform. In the end, there were signs of a big fight. That's enough, everyone. The number 1 war general of the Hidden Dragon Tribe had to speak up to suppress the voices of the crowd. However, no one paid attention to him. He had no choice but to shout again, "The number 1 general has given an order." The moment the words, "Number 1 General," rang out, everyone fell silent. It was as if everyone was being strangled. These 4 words seemed to have an indescribable magical power. Chen Zong will enter the devil-slaying division. The number 1 war general of the Hidden Dragon Tribe announced the order. Immediately, all the war generals trembled. Their pupils contracted and widened in shock. The devil-slaying division. Chen Zong and the others didn't know what was going on because they had never heard of the devil-slaying division. The devil-slaying division. Tang Guo's lips trembled. He had overestimated his junior brother's ability, but he didn't expect that he would be chosen by the devil-slaying division. However, when he thought about it carefully, Chen Zong's various abilities and talents had long surpassed the other demon suppression sergeants. Only a place like the devil-slaying division, where monsters gathered, was suitable for him. For a moment, besides being shocked, the war generals also felt relieved. The devil-slaying division. The war generals gave up on fighting for Chenzong and turned to fighting for Xiao Jinglong and Bian Wuxia. Although they weren't ranked first, their potential and talents were unquestionable. As for Yan Jingming, he was ranked first because his cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level of the extreme mortal realm. He wasn't young either, so he had sufficient strength. Excluding Chenzong, even if the others fought for him, it wouldn't be so intense. It would be easier to arrange. Before long, everything was settled. Senior brother, what kind of place is the devil-slaying division? Chenzong couldn't help but ask. I didn't tell you before because for a long time in the future, it would be difficult for you to come into contact with the devil-slaying division. Tang Guo sighed. I just didn't expect your performance to be so shocking. The devil-slaying division has a joking name, Monster Concentration Camp. When Tang Guo said this, he didn't sound amused at all. Instead, he sounded serious. There aren't many people in the devil-slaying division, but each one of them has abilities that others don't have. They far surpass the other demon suppression sergeants. In this world, there are thousands of creatures. It's hard to say if there are some with unique abilities. The devil-slaying division is controlled by the first titled general. The first titled general is an emperor. It's said that he's not inferior to the 5 great generals. Following Tang Guo's explanation, Chenzong gained a deeper understanding of the demon-slaying department, and his curiosity grew. Before long, someone came to take Chenzong away. They were going to enter the devil-slaying division. The devil-slaying division was also located in the demon suppression barracks, but it was underground. You're Chenzong, right? What kind of special abilities do you have? The person who led Chenzong was a skinny young man. His eyes were dark and bright, as if he was curious about everything. He started talking as if they were close. Without waiting for Chenzong to reply, he said, I'm Xiang Liang. I entered the devil-slaying division a year earlier than you. I have the ability to create a true replica. True replica, Chenzong muttered to himself. It seemed easy to understand from the name alone, but he couldn't really explain it without seeing it with his own eyes. I don't have any special abilities. I just have a good comprehension ability. You're chosen just because of your comprehension ability. Xiang Liang's curious eyes narrowed slightly. Then he smiled. Chenzong, it seems that your comprehension ability is very shocking. It's not bad, Chenzong said with a smile. This was the first time they met. Even though Xiang Liang acted friendly and even told him what his abilities were, Chenzong didn't believe him so easily. Thus, he told him everything. However, Chenzong didn't lie. He really didn't have any special abilities. Since Xiang Liang was so friendly, Chenzong took the opportunity to ask about the devil-slaying division. The devil-slaying division is different from the demon suppression army. There are only 4 ranks: lower division, middle division, senior division, and head division. Xiang Liang didn't intend to hide anything. He explained to Chenzong one by one. If we compare the ranks of the demon suppression army, a lower division is equivalent to a low-grade war general, a middle division is equivalent to a mid-grade war general, a senior division is equivalent to a high-grade war general, and a head division is higher than all titled generals and is on par with a general. Hearing this, Chenzong was shocked. The ranks of the demon suppression army were 6th-grade sergeants and 3rd-grade war generals. Above them were titled generals. Under normal circumstances, it would take at least 50 years for a demon suppression army sergeant to advance from 1st grade to 6th grade. It was hard to say how long it would take to advance to a low-grade war general, but it would take at least 100 years. But now, as long as one entered the devil-slaying division, they would become a lower division, which was equivalent to a low-grade war general. The devil-slaying division is different from the demon suppression army. It doesn't give out a fixed amount of merit points, but there is a fixed amount of merit points allocated each year. A lower division's merit points allocated each year is 100,000 merit points, which can be accumulated. A middle division's merit points allocated each year is 1,000,000 merit points, which can be accumulated. A senior division's merit points allocated each year is 5,000,000 merit points, which can also be accumulated. In addition, a lower division's merit points allocated in advance for 2 years, a middle division's merit points allocated in advance for 5 years, and a senior division's merit points allocated in advance for 10 years. A lower division's merit points allocated to enter the Devil Refining Platform once a year, a middle division's merit points allocated to enter the Devil Refining Platform twice a year, and a senior division's merit points allocated to enter the Devil Refining Platform 3 times a year. Chen Zong listened carefully, memorizing every word Xiang Liang said. He was shocked. He had heard clearly that the second war general of the First Army had given him a chance to enter the Devil Refining Platform to cultivate as a third-grade sergeant. This opportunity was precious. Oh right. After entering the Devil Slaying Division, you have to make a choice. Do you want to fight or defend? If you fight, you have to go out on missions. If you defend, you have to stay in the Devil Slaying Division to study, such as improving the third seal or other secret and forbidden technique. If you have a high level of comprehension, I suggest you choose to defend. It's quite safe. We'll talk about it later. Chen Zong smiled. Oh right. What's your cultivation level? Xiang Liang suddenly asked because he couldn't see through Chen Zong's cultivation level. He couldn't even feel the fluctuations of his aura. 4th grade. Chen Zong released the fluctuations of his spiritual power. I'm higher than you. As he spoke, Xiang Liang also released the fluctuations of his aura. He was at the 7th grade, which was indeed higher than Chen Zong's. Moreover, his aura was very pure. If they fought, Chen Zong didn't know if he could defeat him. Chapter 797. In a dimly lit hall, Chen Zong saw the chief of the Demon Slayers Department, who was also the first titled general of the Demon Suppression Army. However, the light was so dim that Chen Zong's eyes, which were many times stronger than the average cultivator's, were blurry. He could only make out a tall figure, like an ancient mountain, majestic and boundless. Fight or defend. The chief's voice rang out, forming layers of echoes that reverberated in the hall. Fight, Chen Zong answered without hesitation. Your cultivation is too low. Go to the Demon Refining Platform and train hard. The chief's voice rang out again, and then, as the echoes gradually weakened, it fell silent. The droplets of golden blood were quickly absorbed. A trace of reddish gold light flowed through them like water, and the blood returned to its original black color. Then, as if it had melted, it slowly seeped into the back of Chen Zong's left hand, forming a strange black glyph. This glyph seemed to be formed by the intertwining of many crescent blades, mysterious and sharp. It was the Demon Slayer's identity medallion that symbolized war. Unlike other medallions, it could be branded on the body after recognizing its owner. As Chen Zong's thoughts moved, the black glyph withdrew and disappeared, as if it had never existed. Other than the Demon Slayer's identity medallion, Chen Zong also received a set of armor. This set of armor was a bit strange. Although it was called armor, it wasn't as hard as armor. Instead, it was flexible, but not as soft as a robe. The material was very special. The upper part of his body was like armor that bound his body, while the lower part of his body was like a long robe that fluttered in the wind. His entire body was dark red in color, and it was covered with numerous dark-colored talisman markings. They were very faint, and if one didn't look carefully, it would be difficult to see them clearly. This was the Demon Slayer's device. Only those of the Demon Slayer's department had the right to own it. This Demon Slayer's device was a mid-rank spiritual weapon. It came with gloves and shoes, and was one with the armor. Mid-rank spiritual weapons were extremely valuable. Most of the extreme mortal realm cultivators didn't have one. Many of the Earth Spirit Realm cultivators didn't even have one. Robe-type mid-grade spirit artifacts were even rarer than weapon-type mid-grade spirit artifacts. The devil-slaying outfit provided Chen Zong with an even greater layer of protection. The robe, which was a middle-grade spiritual weapon, could completely withstand the attacks of low-grade spiritual weapons without breaking. It could also absorb the attacks of middle-grade spiritual weapons. With an armor like the devil-slaying device, there would naturally be weapons as well. Demon-slaying sword. It was dark red in color, and the blade was about 2 fingers wide. It was thin and about a meter long. The edge of the blade was suffused with traces of blood-red light. It was incomparably sharp, and one look at it would make one feel as if one's eyes were being cut. The demon-slaying sword was also a mid-grade spiritual weapon. Chen Zong first refined the devil-slaying device and put it on. It was very light and extremely comfortable. Not only did it not affect his movements at all, it even made Chen Zong feel that his body had become lighter. The result was that his movements were faster and more flexible. After trying it out, he found that it had increased by about 10%. In other words, the devil-slaying device not only gave him a strong defense, but also increased his speed and reaction by 10%. This was very impressive, and it had invisibly increased his strength. Then, he refined the demon-slaying sword. After refining the demon-slaying sword, its appearance changed slightly. This was a slight adjustment. The hilt, which was originally ordinary to the touch, was now attached to the lines on the palm, as if it had become one with the palm. Other than being tough and sharp enough, the demon-slaying sword only had one power, and that was to cause more damage to demons and demons. But if it was used against non-demons and non-demons, it wouldn't have much of an effect. However, the mid-grade spiritual weapon itself was strong enough to withstand Chen Zong's strength, and it could also significantly increase Chen Zong's strength. As a subordinate, I have the right to control 100,000 merit points a year. Including the 2 years in advance, that's 300,000 merit points. Chen Zong sheathed the sword and thought silently. 300,000 merit points were undoubtedly a lot for Chen Zong now. After all, he had obtained less than 1,000 merit points so far. Chen Zong didn't know what he could exchange for with 300,000 merit points, but it didn't stop him from looking forward to it. Now, the cultivation of spiritual power is my shortcoming. If I can improve it and make it equal to the cultivation of body refining, my strength will be even stronger. Chen Zong thought to himself. How could he improve his cultivation of spiritual power in a short time? Now, there was a very good way, the devil refining platform. As a subordinate of the demon-slaying division, he didn't need any merit point. Every year, he had the opportunity to cultivate in the devil refining platform. This was a privilege that other demon suppression sergeants could not enjoy. With such an opportunity, Chen Zong certainly wouldn't let it go. The devil refining platform was also located in the demon suppression barrack. It was one of the most important places. This was because the devil refining platform was not only a holy place for cultivation, but also a place of suppression. It was said that a group of powerful demons were suppressed under the devil refining platform, and there were even demon emperors. As for how many powerful demons were suppressed under the platform, it was unknown. There were demon suppression soldiers guarding the surroundings of the demon refining platform. It was very strict. When Chen Zong came from afar, he felt a terrifying aura fall on him. Each of these auras was stronger than his, and they were extremely cold. Many sharp eyes locked on him as if they wanted to see through him. It was as if he would be attacked as long as he made any abnormal movements. However, Chen Zong's purpose here was to cultivate in the devil refining platform and improve his cultivation. He didn't have any bad intentions, so he was quite calm. The devil refining platform was right in front of him. It was a gigantic altar that covered an area of several thousand meters. It was majestic, simple and ancient, and even more vast and profound. However, other than its size and simplicity, this altar didn't seem to have anything else. It felt a little ordinary, more like an ancient site. However, Chernzong felt a little unusual. When he closed and opened his eyes, 2 sword rays were reflected in his pupils. Scar sword pupil. Looking forward, Chernzong's expression changed slightly. Outside the originally simple and unadorned altar, fist-sized runes floated in the air. These runes were connected to each other from the bottom to the top, forming a line that went straight to the sky. Like a chain, it sealed off the entire altar in all directions, from the sky to the ground. Each rune was extremely exquisite, and it would take a lot of time and energy to understand. Chernzong wasn't very interested in runes. If he had time, he would rather spend it on swordsmanship. After all, one's strength was limited, and one had to make a choice. If one didn't make a choice and wanted everything, it would be in vain in the end. On the huge altar, in addition to the runes that seemed to be connected to the sky, there was also a black aura that constantly rose up. It was like a smoke signal that soared into the sky. Looking from afar, there was actually a kind of tragic scene. The black smoke seemed to want to break through the runes, but it was completely trapped in the altar. It couldn't leak out at all. After stopping the scar sword pupil, the strange phenomenon of the altar disappeared, and it became an ancient site again. He stepped forward again and approached the demon refining altar. Whoosh! A figure flashed in front of him, and a strong aura fell directly on him. Who are you? What do you want? This person was dressed in armor, and even his face was covered by a helmet. Only a pair of cold eyes could be seen. Chernzong of the Demon Slayers Department is here to cultivate. Chernzong took a deep breath and endured the terrifying and cold aura of the other party. He answered slowly, Demon Slayers Department. The other party's cold eyes trembled slightly, and Chernzong revealed the symbol on the back of his left hand. In an instant, the figure in front of him disappeared. Chernzong stepped toward the altar again. Standing in front of the altar, Chernzong could feel a vigorous and vicissitudes of life, as if the river of time had washed over it, and it gave him an inexplicable shock. He took another step and stepped into the altar. In an instant, Chernzong felt a force wash over him. It flowed all over him in an instant, as if it was trying to identify something. This was the demon refining altar, and it suppressed the experts of the demon clan. Once a demon got close, he would be repelled and killed. Chernzong was a human, so he wasn't affected. In an instant, the scene before his eyes changed. Clumps of black aura continuously emerged from the altar that was covered in runes. They continuously merged into one and soared into the sky like a beacon of fire. Vaguely, he seemed to be able to hear an earth-shaking roar. The roar was full of unwillingness and hatred. Rumor has it that this black aura is all the essence emitted by the experts of the demon clan suppressed under the demon refining altar. The cultivation of the demon refining altar is actually to absorb the essence of these experts into one's body and refine it into one's own spiritual power. Chernzong thought to himself. Of course, this was what Xiang Liang, who had brought him into the Demon Slayers Department, had told him. Although it was a rumor, it was actually the truth. Of course, refining the essence emitted by the experts of the demon clan was not an easy task. If one didn't have enough power to refine it rashly, the end result would be that the essence of the demon clan would damage one's meridians and internal organs, leaving one with serious injuries. The essence of the experts of the demon clan was abundant, and it constantly surged into the sky. When it reached a height of several thousand meters, it was affected by the power of the altar and turned into wisps of mist that fell from all directions. It seeped back into the altar from the edges, forming a cycle so that it wouldn't go to waste. It was rumored that the physique of the demon clan was strong, and their blood was vigorous. The demon energy they cultivated was pure and fierce to the extreme. The aura naturally emitted by the experts of the demon clan could clearly shock and awe cultivators who weren't as strong as them. And this essence was actually the aura emitted by the experts of the demon clan themselves. Of course, one wouldn't be a lot, but if there were many experts of the demon clan, the amount of essence they emitted would undoubtedly be astonishing. At most, only 10 people could cultivate on the demon refining altar at a time. This was because too many people would affect the absorption and refining of the essence of the demon clan. At this time, there were 8 people inside, each sitting at a spot 100 meters apart and not disturbing each other. With the influence of the essence of the demon clan, Chernzong couldn't clearly see the appearances of the 8 people, but that didn't matter. On the demon refining altar, there were a total of 10 talisman bases, which were also the points where the patterns on the altar intersected. Cultivating on the talisman bases would be more effective. Choosing an empty talisman base, Chernzong's figure was extremely agile. Like a swimming dragon, he stood on the talisman base and sat down cross-legged. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.